Dempsey, great look. And he finds Hassan Ward and one. The exclamation point right there.
This is 365 Sports, powered by SicEm365.com.
Rome on the SEC defensive team before he got to Auburn. He was at Morehead State, was the OVC Defensive Player of the Year. Nice spin and finish. Tonight, Rome's got 8. He is carrying this Auburn team.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Fakes on the jump shot. He can elevate here. Crowd doesn't get the bounce. They don't get back. Danger runs the floor, which he does well. And Danger finishes.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Horn again playing with 4 fouls. 21 points tonight for State. Takes a bump and hits.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
Shelstad launching deep. And Shelstad buries a 3.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at uniteprivatenetworks.com.
Nice give back, and Jones flushes. Wells and Jones.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And good afternoon on this second day of the NCAA tournament, really the fourth day since Tuesday, Wednesday, yesterday, and also today. We will hear from Baylor assistant coach Alvin Brooks here momentarily, and one of our favorite college basketball coaches, John Gallagher, now at Manhattan, will join us here. Also, guess what? Greg Kampe, the head coach at Oakland University out of Michigan, will join us today at 4:30. Darby Brown live from Memphis where Baylor won. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina. This hoodie, by the way, is from St. Jude's Hospital. Music gives to St. Jude's kids. They sent us all a hoodie and a T-shirt. I thought I'd wear it today. Always trying to help the young children who are struggling because of what they deal with cancer and also much more.
It is a great organization. I read a lot when I was a kid, and we did like the math thing, and there was always something for St. Jude's, or Book It, I believe, was for St. Jude's as well. And started by one of the great comedians of all time, Danny Thomas.
Danny Thomas, back in the day. The tournament still goes on. By the way, if you want to, stjude.org is the website. Thank you, St. Jude's, and thank you for what you do for kids who are battling for their life on an everyday basis. Baylor, Craig, 16 threes. This game was pretty much from the start they separated. Colgate made a little bit of an early run, but not really. They never were really in control of this game in any way. Baylor blows their doors off. They're supposed to, and they did.
Yeah, I mean, they avoided the pitfalls of first-round upsets and can now take a breather and focus on the second round here in a couple of days. So I think you're ecstatic if you're a Baylor fan or anybody else who's won their first-round games. It's a sigh of relief like no other in this tournament to just survive and advance. And for them, it wasn't really about surviving. It was about just finishing. And, yeah, they were clearly the better team. Colgate didn't present much of a challenge overall for Baylor, who was just better and more talented and a bigger total package in terms of the tail of the tape. And that certainly panned out when what we saw today. So, yeah, Jalen Bridges, great to see him have a big game. They made a big to-do about his girlfriend driving up from Waco and his dad being there. And that's always cool to have those intermingling stories, with the tournament and those who win and move on, like Oakland last night, like various others. So glad he got a little spotlight, certainly deserved it. But, yeah, they shot well. They played well, and they left no doubts. And they covered for the people who care about that. Yeah. They also covered that 14.5, 15-point spread rather easily. So I don't know how it wasn't a banner day all the way around. I mean, you didn't have to sweat it too much. You won, you covered, you did all the things
Everybody
that you want to do.
Everybody had a chance to play and, kind of get themselves
bunch
ready.
Of guys, off the bench get to get buckets. So, it was a great day for Scott Drew and the Bears.
They will play the winner of Clemson, New Mexico, and New Mexico is jumping all into Clemson's business, or Clemson is jumping into New Mexico's business, 42-28, that game at halftime. Also today, a couple of other teams that advanced. Northwestern beat one of Cinderella's a year ago, Florida Atlantic, by 12 in overtime. San Diego State, another one of those that went to the Final Four, just wrapped up UAB 69-65. UConn 41-10 over Stetson. And there's about 4 minutes left in that game. So those are the games from earlier today. We will also hear from Darby Brown from KWTX. She's in Memphis and had a chance to go into the open locker room after the game to have some audio for us. She'll join us at the bottom of the hour. But John Gallagher, one of our favorite guests, he'll join us here in about 8 to 12 minutes. Tonight, in the Big 12, TCU plays Utah State late. Houston plays at 8:20 against Longwood. Those are a couple of the teams. Last night, Texas took care of their business. Also, Baylor took care of their business, as we said. And then BYU and Tech both are out after Tech losing late last night. We're joined by Baylor assistant coach Alvin Brooks Jr. with us on 365 Sports with Craig and Paul and David Smoak. Alvin, I know you guys are trying to focus in on the game going on right now too, but congratulations. You never know about the first weekend in the tournament. You guys took care of business, and it looked like you guys were locked in pretty quickly.
Yes, first of all, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I think, one thing that we wanted to focus on was, start early and finish strong. And, we didn't start great in the Big 12 tournament, either game. And so I think our guys took it to heart, and we did a great job of starting early and playing at a high level early.
Now, I know that, you're only as good as the next one, right? When you get into March, into the NCAA tournament, and you guys have to, wait and see who you're playing. But you're out of the Big 12. This was the first time that you've been able to really control a game from start to finish without having another, live animal in the cage with you, so to speak, that not to knock Colgate at all, but the Big 12 fight. Is it good for your team to have that kind of momentum where you control a game beginning to end going into the tournament here?
You would hope so. Like you said, everything started over. And so I thought our guys did a great job of making plays for one another today. And it helped that we made a lot of shots. And unfortunately, those shots that we made today don't transfer over to Sunday. And so it's kind of, you have to reset a little bit. And, every game is different because the style of play is different. But I definitely think it gives our guys confidence going into the next game. And then we've got to figure out a way to build on that confidence.
Coach, you got a quick turnaround. Obviously, you're going to go scout and turn around and play again in a couple of days. So how do y'all just sort of enjoy this one and then, refocus and get ready? What's kind of the process there?
I think is great throughout the year to where, we have Saturday games and then a big Monday game, and you're in the toughest league in the country. So you're playing tough competition Saturday and Monday. So this is something that we're kind of had in the past. So we're treated kind of similar to make it to where our guys feel like it's, the same as far as Saturday preparation a little bit tonight, preparation tomorrow, and then figure out a way Sunday to be prepared to play.
You mentioned how you didn't start well in the Big 12 tournament, and that's also been a little bit of an issue with some other games that you've either come back from way back to win or also lost. Was that something they took personally?
It looked like it. I hadn't had a chance to talk to the guys individually about it, but from their actions, it looked like it's something that they took personal, and they came out and, to their credit, they were locked in and they made a lot of plays for one another early. And so I think that gave us a little bit of confidence early, and then really proud of them for the second half, because most of the times you relax, and, they never relax. They continue to execute.
Alvin, I've noticed that the loss of Langston in your lineup has hurt, everybody. I mean, he's a fantastic player, and he's kind of one of those like little engines that makes the offense go whenever he comes in the game. And it's particularly maybe a little harder on Jacoby, who as a freshman, I think, felt maybe a little more need to make up those points you lose from Langston. How good is it to see Jacoby today get back in his bag and be the Jacoby Walter that he is so capable of being?
Oh, it was great. It was great to see him. Like, Jacoby has always stepped up in big moments. And so he's a player that, throughout the year when we've had, big games or we needed him in big moments, he's delivered. And so I think today is just another testament of that. But it's definitely great to see him, make a lot of shots and, have his confidence playing with the swag that he has. And, hopefully he continues that moving forward.
Was watching Jalen Bridges in the post game. Just seems like such a likable guy. What's it like been coaching him the last couple of years?
Man, unbelievable. It's been great. I mean, he's a great person, always have a great spirit. And I think, him going through the draft process last year, I think he matured through that process because it gave him an opportunity to see what he needs to work on to be a pro. And I think he took it to heart, and he came back with a great mindset, one to be coaching. He's playing like a guy that doesn't want to stop playing. So, we need him to continue to be a leader and continue to lead by example.
Alvin, I know you got to go, and you guys have another game to watch with that one between New Mexico and Clemson. Clemson up big right now at halftime, a long way to go in that game. You stay focused, right? You let them enjoy it. Go have something to eat or maybe go watch the next game and then start scouting. Is having almost 2 full days and now your feet are on the ground, how much will that help?
I think it'll help a lot more if the game was at 8:00 at night and now you have to prepare and now you really just get 1 day of preparation. In this case, because the games are early,
right,
it gives us a little bit more time to be able to not only, even if we don't talk to our players, it gives us time as a staff to put a game plan together. So having the early games definitely help us as a staff. And now we're able to help the players a little bit more when it comes to preparing.
Congratulations on the one. There's some teams today that are licking their wounds from last night with Oakland beating Kentucky and also Duquesne winning. And who knows what happens the rest of the day. Thank you so much for jumping in. I know you're busy. We appreciate your time and good luck on Sunday.
Thank y'all. Thank you. I really appreciate y'all.
You too. Alvin Brooks, Alvin Brooks III. His dad, of course, has been a part of that University of Houston staff. We appreciate Alvin and joining us after Baylor wins very easily, 92-67. They out-rebounded. They're supposed to. They're a better team. They're a 3 seed against a 14 seed. But we have seen what's happened in this tournament. There's always, like Cinderella lives. And we will have the head coach at Oakland University. Can't wait to hear from Greg Kampe, the man of the hour last night, as they win to beat John Calipari in Kentucky. And we've got some tweets on the Calipari, the loss to Oakland and what Oakland also does. That was great to have. And now, one of our favorites ever, John Gallagher, head coach at Manhattan College, joins us.
Now it's March.
Yes. Now we are in the tournament. My man, I know yesterday, I know you're recruiting, you're trying to build the program you have, but let's start. Baylor took care of business. They're supposed to take care of business against Colgate, but I want to discuss Oakland. Coach Kampe and what he's done, and Duquesne, and I know you know everybody in the business. Wow, with what Oakland did late last night.
First off, what a great guy Greg is. When I was at Hartford, we played a home and home. They came to Hartford, we won, and then when we went to Oakland, they took care of business for us. So, but what a phenomenal guy. What a great character. And for him to get this win to cap off, he's going to coach many more years. But for him to do this, for coaches in our business that know him, it's just such a great feel-good story.
Coach, I heard Jay Wright, who I know you're a big fan of, and you've known him for a long time, say about Kentucky last night that the game has changed a little bit to where back when they won in 2012, having a team full of one-and-dones and guys who were going to be great NBA players was kind of how you did it. Now, with everything changing, you have these veterans. Kentucky is much more vulnerable because they've got these kids who are out there for the first time. It's not necessarily Coach Cal's fault that they're not ready because they're 18. Who is ready? But how much does he have to change that and try to pepper in maybe some veterans to get back to where Kentucky was? Because this has kind of been a thing for them for a little while now.
I watched them all year. Obviously, I watched everything all year closely. I thought he did an unbelievable job. I think he's getting I thought they really overachieved. The facts are what the facts are. You put an 18, 19-year-old in the environment of the NCAA tournament, and you put them against a bunch of 23 and 24-year-olds that have worked for the last 8 years, 7 years, 6 years for that moment. The facts of the matter are, the guys at Kentucky, they love the moment. They have years and aspirations of NBA. The moment, and this is strange to say, the moment's too big for them. You watched the game last night, they missed layups, they missed dunks, and Oakland made everything, made every big shot, make every big play. That's why the tournament is so special, and that's why you can't take the bid away from you or St. Peter's. It would be ridiculous. It would take away from the magic. And, I know Tom Izzo said that. Coach Izzo is such a great guy and he stands for all the right reasons, but he's wrong. And it's sad when your mentors and your guys that you've admired are losing sight because they're under so much pressure. Well, you want to add more teams so it takes the pressure off. That's fine, but don't take away from the mid-major conferences because it's going to lose the moment of seeing Greg Kampe last night. That's magic. That's magic.
Coach, Baylor with the win over Colgate, 92-67. We've talked with you a lot about the Bears over the past few years as this relationship got started, but been a fun team to watch. How much have you been able to watch them, and what were your thoughts, if any, on the win over Colgate today, being able to breeze through that first-round game and move on?
They can make a deep run, and that's because of the three-point shooting. I think formula for a lot of us, well, when you can shoot 16 to 30 from three, right, and defend the way they're defending. I think the key to them, Bridges and Nunn, Walter, I have those names right?
Yes, yep.
So Bridges, to me, watching them versus Oklahoma, watching them all year, I feel like they shoot the three ball the way they're doing it. They have a real shot to play against anyone in America. And I think that type of shooting can take you far. I really believe that they can make a deep run because of their shooting.
New Mexico is getting drilled by Clemson right now at halftime, 14. They have great guards at New Mexico with Patino. Clemson obviously coming out of they're a 6th seed out of the ACC. Did you watch either one of those teams much this year during the time you watched nothing but probably college basketball?
I followed New Mexico because of the late night starts. I would have my computer, on my lap, and obviously the run they had. Look, the shocker for me, 12 only getting 18, and I Porter, Oklahoma not. And if you look at the numbers, Virginia, they should have never gotten in over Oklahoma. Never. It would have. But again, we've talked about this in the years past, is Oklahoma has nobody fighting for them in that room. And for what everybody tells me, that last spot, it's fight. And if you don't have anybody fighting for you in that room, you're not getting in. So I told this to Porter that night. Porter, you left the Big 12. You haven't joined the SEC. You're on an island by yourself. If you're one of the last two teams, I have some news for you. You're not getting in. And they didn't have anybody fight for them. But watching the NCAA tournament and watching Clemson and watching a little bit of this game now, I think it's a good matchup for you guys. I like Baylor in the game. I like Baylor. I think they can catch magic. And Scott Drew, again, I said this before, one of the best program builders in America, him and Jim Calhoun, from what he took. So I think they make a deep run, Smokey.
Look, Coach, before we go on, we went through this with you last year. Baylor.
It's the Irish Catholic in me from Philly. I can't. I butcher it. So we're gonna get a game here in the next 2 years, and we're gonna have before the night before the game, we're gonna do a radio show with the Baylor staff. And you guys are going to make fun of me in front of everybody, okay?
No, we're not.
No, absolutely not.
No, we're not.
We can't wait. You come down here. You got to see the new arena. You'll love it. It's absolutely fantastic that they have not even done yet, and it's still pretty awesome. Coach, who do you think in this tournament is not maybe getting enough attention or might be underseeded? I lean towards Auburn a little bit because of the way that they play. Is there anybody else out there that you think might be flying under the radar?
Well, I'm going to go 2 teams for you. I know it's going to sound crazy.
Say that again. We lost you there for a second. The 2 teams you wanted to bring.
I like Texas making a run too. I like Texas. I watch them all year. If they get hot, they got play. They have a roster, man. They are talented. And the team that nobody's really talking about, you're going to laugh, is UConn. 1 seed. They're the best team in the tournament by 10 points, even Purdue. They are a handful. I played them live, and I played Kansas live. It's not close. UConn is the best team, and I think they win it again. I'm not saying that because I'm from the Northeast and I lived in Connecticut. Danny's a friend. They present so many problems for you defensively. They are the closest. Look, I think your Bears team that won it all, as good as any team. I think UConn is as good as that team.
Right now they're up 52-19, and they should be on 16th-ranked Stetson. But as we know, you never know what might happen. So a team that's really good and loaded with all those expectations, taking care of their business quickly. John, I know that you got to Manhattan, of course, and you're trying to rebuild that program. We love what you did before, but on the road recruiting and trying to tweak that thing, do you feel like after the first year you're ready to take it now and get themselves in a position to be a Cinderella?
I love this job. I know it was a firestorm the first 2-3 weeks, but guess what? The fan base has been unbelievable. It was, a couple, probably 12 or 13 angry fans on the message board. And I love them too, by the way. I love them too. And I made up with, I made my peace with everybody, and it's all upwards from here. Here's the reality. We had a season-ending injury to our best player, 3-1. The guy could be a Navy SEAL. His name's Brett Rumpel. I have him for 3 more years. I have one of the best freshmen that's not going into the portal. Him and his family told me that. Sadie Trayor. He's staying with me. We have the best young freshman. His name is Jaden Winston. And I think the reality is we have a nucleus. We have a nucleus that we can really build on. And I love the job. We've won NCAA tournament games here. We beat Florida. We've beaten Oklahoma. This program is a NCAA tournament mid-major power. We just got to get it back on track. And the recruiting is unbelievable. We're going to have, in my opinion, a heck of a class, and we got to keep the momentum going. The good thing is, and this is strange, we don't have anybody in the portal. And in this day and age, I know it's crazy, but that's a win in and of itself.
Well, the fact you had Kansas and UConn in 2 of your first, 5 games of the year says everything about you. I know you got to play those kind of games. Wagner, you played them. They're in the tournament, so you know a lot of what's going on. Loved your time when you were with us at Hartford. I'm so happy that Manhattan realized that they needed you to kind of help them get it back around. And I do remember those 12 or 13 fans, and great you've made peace with them and vice versa. Go kick some ass, John, and thanks for your time as always.
Hey, next week when they get to the Sweet 16,
all right.
I'm on, baby.
There you
Let's
go.
do it.
All right. We got you. People in the chat. Yes, sir.
I have a question for you. Are you a Cowboys fan or a Texans fan?
I am. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I was younger when I lived in Washington, D.C., if that helped you a little bit, and was brainwashed by my grandmother.
Now, John, I am a Cowboys fan.
Okay. That is phenomenal. So you are
a Washington Commanders, Redskins, whatever you want to call them, the Commanders now. Craig is too, by the way.
Well, listen. So you're NFC East.
Yes, we are in this whole room.
Did you see what Saquon Barkley's son said?
No.
His son got in the car to sign the Eagles contract, and he said, "Dad, does that mean we're going to win now?"
Oh, my God, yeah. All those years. So many oh, my Lord, that's awesome. Yeah, and I'm glad he's healthy, too. Yeah.
My birds are good. I was just about to say, because I thought you guys were Cowboys fans. Let me tell you something. There's not a bigger Eagles fan in the world than me.
That's awesome. Good for you. They've been good. They kind of dropped it a little bit last year at the end, got worn out a little bit, but good luck turning that around. I know they will. Appreciate what you do.
And thank you, guys, and go Bears.
Yes, sir. John Gallagher was at Hartford when Baylor's national championship team opened up against them. He joined us on the show. He has been, since then, our analyst during March Madness. He is just a firecracker. Love having him on the show, his enthusiasm, his knowledge. How about that? They played UConn and KU while his first year at Manhattan, and they have to play those games to help with their budget. Congratulations on him getting that job at Manhattan.
And if you were wondering if Tom Izzo's comments trickled down to the lower levels of college basketball, then yes, they certainly did they not? Based on what he had to say there. And I do think some of it got misconstrued a little bit, but clearly that's not going to be something that goes over very well with the teams that are already up against the wall, battling every disadvantage imaginable. And then now you're like, no, let's add more teams that have these advantages over you just based on how big they are. That's got to be frustrating. So, I'm sure he's just sharing the sentiment of a lot of folks at his level and abroad. But, always great to hear from him and just makes it feel that much more like March Madness. Yeah,
and Paula said he's our good luck charm. She's a Baylor fan, through and through, whatever. And he mentioned Texas, which last year, remember, they made the run to the Elite Eight, and they won easily last night. After a slow start, they blew Colorado State's doors off. And they do have a roster of experience and with some talent. So John Gallagher with us, and he'll be with us hopefully again next week, no matter what.
Yeah, Colorado State didn't put much of a fight up, but Texas took care of their business, and Baylor took care of their business, and various others. And for everyone that has, it's just a nice breath of or sigh of relief because you know how it is, man. That first game, you're worried about the upset, and oh my gosh, are we going to be like the headline on tonight's Sports Center of where it got beat by Cinderella, and all those types of things, and just to be able to win that one and breathe for like a day is a good feeling. So everybody that's able to do that, that's nice. But man, the pressure's on for the rest of the day, and it's on full throttle here from here on out. So man, it's a lot of fun.
When we come back, Darby Brown, who joins us a lot during our football season pregame show, she's in Memphis. She will join us live from Memphis. We still will get into some of the notes and interesting nuggets when it comes to Oakland and Kentucky. Plus, Greg Kampe will join us at 4:30, and this is 365 Sports. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man you want to be, used to be, and need to be. He's located in the Waco area. Petty Clinic Low T online. If you have symptoms when it comes to sex drive, sleep habits, your energy, even extra body fat, even if you are active and there's just something missing, well, he can help you with that. Here's how. Contact him on the website, PettyClinicLowT.com. There's a phone number there, too, and you can tell him I sent you. They will set you up to get your blood work, take care of that appointment for you, and then get the results, look at your testosterone levels, and if they are too low, put you in a program or give you that option to be a part of a program to increase your testosterone so you can become the high-performance man you want to be, need to be, and used to be. Dr. Kent Petty and PettyClinicLowT.com.
Rev up your excitement. Celebrate the spirit of adventure during the Jeep Celebration event. Join us at Allen Samuels in Waco as we roll out incredible deals on rugged and reliable Jeep vehicles you love. Seize the moment and drive home in the new Jeep of your dreams. With special financing options and exclusive offers, there has never been a better time to explore the world of Jeep. Hurry in, the savings won't last long. Visit AllenSamuelsDCJ.com and see them firsthand only at Allen Samuels in Waco. Let your adventure begin.
Come by, let's be friends.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
Let the journey to financial brilliance begin with Genco's limited time offers. Max your earnings with a Kasasa cash account and get paid monthly with a 4.25 APY. That's $425 annually. Then invest in a 13-month share certificate and earn 4.9 APY. That's $529. Earn cash and outshine the rest. At Genco, we offer you the sun and the moon. Kasasa based on average daily balance of $10,000. Certificate based on $10,000 investment. See GencoFCU.org for details. NCUA.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Darby Brown, KWTX, has been in Memphis, arrived there yesterday. Baylor winning earlier today against Colgate, 92-67. And she joins us live from Memphis, where Baylor opened up the tournament against Colgate with the win. And Darby Brown with us on 365 Sports. Darby, you never know. We saw Oakland, Duquesne, others in what they've done. And Baylor, it seemed like from the beginning, was very, very focused and locked in.
Yeah, I think, Jacoby Walter hitting the first shot tonight was a good sign or today, I should say. It's a pretty early game, but hitting the first shot was a good sign for Baylor. He only had 3 points in their last game in Kansas City. So him getting started, I think, kind of got the ball rolling for everybody else. And you could tell that they were going to be in control of that game. But yeah, I mean, the madness is happening. I spoke with some of the guys after the game, and we talked about how, they saw some of that. They live in the same world that we do, and you see some of those upsets, and it's hard to kind of, ignore it. And it's a little bit of a wake-up call that, hey, anybody can go home after any game, and so you better bring it, which I think they obviously did today. for you to see those shots fall kind of right off the bat? What did that feel like?
Yeah, it felt amazing. Gave me a good boost of confidence. Made me really just start playing harder than I already was. It was just really exciting, just me being a freshman playing in March Madness. You know, a lot of kids just dream of this, and I was one of those kids. So this was just really cool just to experience.
You know, it wasn't just you, but just kind of an overall tough go in Kansas City. What did, from then until now, how did you kind of build yourself back up, even just as a group, but individually as well?
Yeah, in practice, we were getting after it. Outside of practice, we were all getting in the gym. So we really just wanted to put that in the past. We really said this is a new season. Our record's 0-0 because it's winner go home. And then, so when we got here, we didn't even think about Kansas City because we just knew it was a new game.
So for you, with the first taste of the tournament, playing on the second day, there were already some upsets yesterday.
Yeah.
You look at it, how do you kind of handle some of that?
Yeah, no, I love watching these games, you know. But it's pretty good playing on the second day because now you know what other teams are capable of doing. You can see that any team can get upset. So you know you just got to really be locked in no matter who you're playing because the seeds really don't matter.
Thank you. Congrats.
Darby, what was it like to see the team control the game from beginning to end, something they have not done in a few weeks just because of the grind of the Big 12?
Yeah, it's a big difference when you see them play a full 40 minutes. You can see, you know, the hype behind this team and the true talent of this team. I think it was just nice for them to play an opponent that they hadn't seen before. Obviously, they harped on that heading into this game, that, you know, it was a fresh opponent. They could kind of play a little freer on offense because of that. Maybe that played a part of it as well. Or maybe it really was just the fact that they really experienced it in Kansas City that, hey, if you don't show up, you got to go home. And they came out with a little bit more energy today. So yeah, it was great to see them put together a full game. And, you know, that I think could be a good thing moving forward. And if they can figure out how to shake off those slow starts.
Darby, how much of we know Baylor's not the biggest traveling party. It's not the biggest school, but what kind of a contingent, passionate group was out there? And also, what got the biggest roar from the crowd, considering there were so many things? I mean, from Jalen Bridges to Austin Sachs hitting a three to dunks and just various things. What got the biggest pop of the day, would you say?
Well, I'll start with that. I think Austin Sachs actually probably was the loudest cheers of the day. People were just so excited for him to get in there and then make a shot. And you'll have some success. People just love his story. And then, you know, early on, definitely some of the Jacoby threes, the dunk from Eve. And so there were definitely some moments where you heard the Baylor crowd. I will say Baylor fans are very outnumbered here. I would honestly say Nebraska fans are really in this building, and they were here even early. So it's hard to tell, you know, there's a lot of maroon and red and then green, but so kind of all blends together. But, you know, there definitely are some passionate Baylor fans. They could tell the players' families, and, you know, that group is definitely here that, you know, they're going to hold their own.
And now they got a couple of days to possibly add a few more, if that's possible, if the tickets are available. Darby, great job. I know you've got your own work to do with the station. KWTX will hopefully get a chance to visit with you again next week somewhere else if they take care of business on Sunday. You're the best. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Darby Brown, KWTX, and she is in Memphis where Baylor handled their business with Colgate 92-67. A&M and Nebraska play right before the end of this show. They tip off at 5:50.
Feels like a sense of relief to just be able to talk about the next game now, no? I mean,
oh, absolutely.
I haven't visited our message boards much, but I can imagine there's just a big, thank goodness you move on. So, yeah, now it's about who and who else is going to join that fray. I mean, I think you kind of briefly ran down the Big 12 if you wanted to kind of go back over that.
Last night, of course, Tech lost late.
Yeah.
They just could not handle the big man, and they lost late. Then
they were presented with an interesting challenge, to be sure.
Houston, that kid, he's amazingly nimble for his size. Houston plays tonight against Longwood, and I also TCU playing tonight against Utah State. Texas took care of business. Baylor took care of business. BYU and Tech are out.
Yeah, NC State's maybe one of my favorite stories of the tournament in that, you know, they would not have been in this thing had they not been on the run that they're on. And usually you can kind of count somebody out like that. I thought they might even have to play, even deeper on their bench than they would against a team like Tech, but they didn't. They controlled the game the whole time. Tech was just kind of caught a little flat-footed. I had Tech going kind of deep.
I think I might have had them playing at least. I know I had them going to the Sweet 16, so I was absolutely wrong on that. So.
It kind of lines up with their season, though, right? When you think about it, I mean, they weren't like sensational really at any point. They weren't a bad team either. They were just sort of kind of
they had some moments, but they also had the loss at home against Texas. They got blown out in Lubbock and. Yeah, no,
injuries,
I agree.
Like things just so they never quite. They had a really solid year under Grant McCasland. To say that, or we need to say that first for sure. But I just don't think it's like shocking that they're out early. Is what I'm trying to say. Just kind of based on the way that the year went. But yeah, that was unfortunate. DJ Burns. I mean, that's one of the names that we're going to be talking about now. Like one of those early first week, a star is born type of a guys, and he gave them. Yeah, too much to handle. BYU, like we talked about that yesterday, is when the shots aren't falling and you can't play good defense. I mean, that's a recipe for early exits, and that bit them, and that was one of the things you thought could bite them. So that wasn't a total shock either. But I mean, Texas didn't have to sweat much. Baylor didn't have to sweat much, and we'll see how it goes the rest of the way. But I know. Everybody keeps track of like the conferences, and especially with the Big 12 having that target on their back, I feel like people are going to notice a little bit more when their teams fall or advance. And so, interested to see how it continues to shake out here.
Only because Paul told me don't bring up KU.
Oh, you can bring it up.
We did not bring them up as advancing, and we're about to do that. Let's do that right now. Let's not KU. We'll start with Oakland and Kentucky because that's with Duquesne and all that. But Oakland and Kentucky is the story of the tournament. So far, here is a shot selection from Jack Golke, who was phenomenal last night. This is his season shot selection. Everything. I guess maybe he broke loose for a late game turnover, easy layup. Those are his shots.
That's from the season.
3-point attempts, 347 this year.
We can ask Coach Kampe when he comes on.
Those aren't all made.
No.
Those are attempts.
But we can ask Coach Kampe when he's on. When he shoots by the basket, do you worry he's been hit in the head?
Yeah. His
depth perception has been thrown away.
It's almost like let him have an open layup because and he hit some and my goodness, he also got fouled a couple of times on a three, which for him, I think he missed a free throw, but he is phenomenal. And what I loved about him, at the end of the game, he said, we're not Cinderella. That's great confidence. And again, a seasoned veteran team that beat Kentucky.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool post-game, he and his coach, and that statement that he made about we're not a Cinderella to close it out, and said it very matter-of-fact, and could tell he was dead serious when he said it. But, yeah, it was a win that they didn't seem to be too shocked by, and was very cool to watch that and watch that big moment for a program that a lot of people were like, oh, shout out to the Bay Area. And it's like, no, that school's in Michigan.
Yeah, I know.
It's not Oakland, California. But so got to learn about Oakland a little bit, and I got to learn about Jack Golke and learn about his past Twitter posts because I saw somebody post, go searching his Twitter for a picture of him when he had, he was wearing, what was it, crab claw, boxing gloves or whatever it was. I forget I had it saved, I thought, and now I don't have it in front of me, but it was just a dumb post from a teenager from 3-4 years ago that someone dug up, and then this innocuous post that he never thought was probably anything other than just a funny thing to put up suddenly has 1,000 replies to it, all these years later, and it's go off King and, all these things. It was just funny. It was hilarious to see people dig up his Twitter and go follow him, and I don't know what his total follow count ended up being from just last night, but I kind of watched it in real time for a little bit, just keep going up by the tens. And, that's got to be such a cool and also kind of strange. All of a sudden you're getting all these Twitter alerts and people are digging up your tweets, but it was all for good. And so, I'm sure that had to be a once-in-a-lifetime type of a night, but they made it clear, they're not done. They're not celebrating over this first win. They feel like they can go win some more games. So, what a story to watch, and hopefully we get to watch a bit more of it.
And they also live with that zone that's very, very good. Again, Coach Kampe at 4:30. So here's a couple of notes on the win by Oakland. Steve Berkowitz, remember, he keeps up with all the bonus money and all the budget, et cetera. Kentucky spent $6 million on their men's basketball program. Oakland, 2023, 17.8 in the entire athletic department.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously, Kentucky, we know they're among the greatest of the Blue Bloods, including $2.3 million on men's basketball compared to 23. Now, again, this is what happened, but it's interesting. Bottom one, Kentucky's John Calipari, who's taken a lot of heat, $8.5 million salary, $33 million buyout. Coach Kampe, in his 40th year at Oakland, $329,609.
And look, I think what Coach Kampe's shown is that, yeah, you can do a lot of cool things if you're there for a long time. He's got him in the tournament 4 times. He guided them from Division II into this level. I can't wait to talk to him in 45 minutes. We got to get Grayson here in the next segment. But for John Calipari, look, I don't think that they're going to fire him. I mean, again, we've seen stranger things happen. You know, the Aggies, are paying more than twice that much money to buy out Jimbo. So if Kentucky boosters really got a bug up their ass about it and wanted to try to do that, I just think that he's got to adjust, and I think that he's got to find a way to meld, getting the guys like Reed Shepherd in there who are so excellent and wonderful, but also keeping some guys in the program for a little while, and having some veterans.
The trend changed with Virginia in 19 and eventually with Baylor, Kansas, UConn, or Villanova, and now what UConn has too.
Yeah, I found the Jack Golke tweet, him wearing boxing gloves in 2016. So he was like a junior in high school or whatever it was, and he just titled it Mr. Krabs Looking Ass, like SpongeBob. And it now has 2.2 thousand retweets and 11,000 likes, which it probably had like 11 likes before last night, and now it has 11,000.
How many people are following him now? That'd be
35, almost 3,600, and I don't know. It was definitely not that last night, but yeah, with Calipari, I mean, $33 million buyout. I mean, that was put out there pretty quickly, and obviously these last few seasons now have not worked out the way that they're supposed to for school like Kentucky. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure there. I don't know. I take it as a compliment. I also take it as, I don't know what you take it as. A&M probably just takes it as a compliment, but you eventually want to win something and not just be that school that's known for just paying gobs of money to just buy out coaches, which is kind of what their reputation is now. It's just like they've got ungodly amounts of money that doesn't really amount to anything other than big buyouts. You know what I mean? And so, it's too bad Buzz Williams came on late at the end of the year because that would have been perfect. They could have gone and paid that buyout and hired John Calipari probably, but Buzz Williams was strong at the end. So, yeah, I don't know who's going to swallow $33 million, but there's definitely heat, rightfully so, in Lexington right now. That's not what you're supposed to have happen on opening weekend.
Well, we know that Kansas has at least one crazy fan that we discussed quite a bit on the show, who didn't even see the end of the win last night against Sanford. But Kentucky, they have probably hundreds of thousands. Kenny Fear the Third. If Calipari is allowed back in Lexington, I will make January 6th look like a kindergarten party.
Oh, my God.
And then the thing is like,
sudden,
guys, don't call the FBI.
They started tagging the FBI. They started tagging FBI, and he goes, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, look,
this
think
guy had a bad night.
I do think that's kind of a funny line as someone who appreciates someone putting shit on the limit, but knowing how Twitter works, that was like a really bad idea.
Right.
Yeah, a really bad idea. You got to read the room, man. You got to read the room.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't think Kentucky fans were reading the room too much last night. I think they were looking at the bottom of bottle probably for the most part because they had to drown their sorrows and yeah, I'm sure that was probably not I guarantee that's not the most controversial tweet from last night. Not that it's ultra controversial anyways, but yeah, I mean, I think that's a sentiment, that's for sure, and speaks to how a lot of those fans are feeling. I went and looked over at but Matt Jones, they have the massive Kentucky Sports Radio group that he's a part of, and there's just hundreds of people just beside themselves with that loss last night and with Calipari. And like he said, it's like just simply not good enough. They had players that played well or played hard, veterans that played hard there at the end. But, yeah, that's just not at all what you can do. And so lost to a 14 seed, lost in the round of 32 last year, lost to a 15 seed 2 years ago, and didn't even make the tournament 3 years ago. So that's the run that they're on right now. They have not been past the round of 32 in 4, which will be 5 seasons next year. So yeah, that's just unacceptable when you're making the kind of money and you have the kind of program that Kentucky feels like it has, and Calipari should be able to guide much better than he has here lately.
Here's another note about the win by Oakland against Kentucky. Greg Kampe, who's about to join us, this just came on. Oakland coach Greg Kampe said the school sold $8,000 worth of T-shirts to people whose credit cards matched Louisville zip codes. They've had a bad run at Louisville. They thought they might get a coach with Coach Drew that was out there. That never happened. Not even sure if it was ever really a thing. But this gave them a chance to at least survive the week with Kentucky going out.
Yeah, when things aren't going well, you got to grab onto something positive, and anything that's negative against Kentucky is a positive for Louisville. So, yeah, I'm sure that as tough as it's been lately for them trying to get a basketball coach, and then watching the guy that some of them were convinced was going to be the guy go win a tournament game for the school he's been at for 20-plus years today, that seems to be dissipating finally. But, yeah, that's your saving grace was the struggles of your arch rival. So that was very timely for Louisville fans out there to see Oakland do what they did.
Last thing on the game and the SEC's loss, and this was from Nicole Arbach. SEC is having a no good, very bad NCAA tournament so far. Third-ranked Kentucky, third seed Kentucky, upset by Oakland. South Carolina went down, led by former South Carolina Gamecock, who scored 40 points. Mississippi State lost, blown out by Michigan State. This all goes back to Greg Sankey when he was talking about mid-majors. I saw Sheehan with one of the best quotes. He goes, no wonder Greg Sankey wants mid-majors out of the tournament because of what he said earlier this week about adding more of the larger schools, the autonomy schools, and there we are with the SEC. That was from late last night. All right, when we come back, we'll hear from Grayson Grundhoefer, Baylor football analyst for Sikkim365.com and also 365 Sports, and that's who we are. Thanks for your time today. A lot more to get to. And this is 365 Sports, IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas marketplace just off I-35, who I've been in contact with since about this time last week when I knew I was going to go see a back specialist in Dallas, the Carroll Clinic, just because I've had a back that's just been, it's more than just annoying. It's more than just a couple of Advil. It's a little bit worse. It doesn't like keep me up, but it's something wrong, and I wanted to go to somebody to give me more, at least a game plan. So they wanted an MRI, and I have one from 2022 with my lower back, my lumbar, and so I contacted Ideal MRI by first calling Dr. Rob Maxey. Then I called the business in Waco. They told me to come by Monday morning. They would have the image on a disc and also the reading included, which is what I need to take to the clinic on Monday morning. It was like clockwork. They're great. They've done that before with me. $497 or less every single time at MRI, Ideal MRI. $497 or less. The average is 1,100 hours or more. Call them. Get your doctor to contact them. He wants an MRI. She wants an MRI. They will get you the MRI. Save you money. It won't be backlogged. You won't have to worry about waiting a month or so. They'll get you in. They'll get you inside the state-of-the-art technology MRI machine, and again, save you money at $497 at IdealMRI.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your hometown grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and bakery. Hi, this is David Smoak. The butcher shop can take your customized orders for seafood, pork, and poultry and custom cut your favorite steaks from bacon-wrapped fillets, sirloin steaks, bone-in ribeyes, boneless ribeyes, and even prime rib. Cut specifically the way you want, the thickness that you want. They're all delicious. They have Norwegian salmon, mahi-mahi, catfish fillets, sliced ham or turkey, variety of cheese, and several options of sausage links, and even regular jalapeno or cheese snack sticks, fresh chicken breast or whole chickens, sliced bacon, pork chops, and ground beef, marinated beef or chicken fajitas, and always large briskets and tri-tip available, plus fresh vegetables. So the great product, customer service, and tradition continues at Waco Custom Marketplace, a full-service butcher shop and bakery, open Monday through Saturday. The Bauer family, Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Grayson Grundhoefer, SicEm365.com and 365 Sports joins us on the show this afternoon as we're closing out this first hour into the 4 o'clock hour. Grayson, thanks for your time. So Craig and I and a couple of others were at the Jake Spavital presser after practice yesterday. Want to get into the quarterbacks and much more in a moment. But let's start with your thoughts. Baylor, who have kind of a habit of starting slowly, just jumped all into Colgate's business. And what did you see from them and your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people came into this game thinking about Baylor being, a bit of a flawed team. And I think we all agree they definitely have flaws. But one thing that Baylor has done all year long, I mean, pretty much literally from the very beginning of the year to now, is they really don't lose to teams that are, quote unquote, bad. They don't have bad losses on their resume. And that's just the way it's been all year long. And they continued that trend against Colgate. I felt like they would win this game pretty easily going into it, and they absolutely did that. But I will say, their start to the game and then the way they just completely closed this game out was really encouraging to see. Because I think we've seen a lot of times this year, Baylor play with their food a little bit and have moments where they're up by 10 and then they just give up a lead, and then all of a sudden it's a 2-point game and you're just sitting there just sweating like, oh my gosh, are they really going to, fumble this game? But in this game, they absolutely didn't do that. They showed no signs of letting Colgate back in the game. Every time Colgate went on a run, someone made a 3-pointer. Baylor made 16 of those today. They were just on fire from 3, and a lot of that was really good offense, honestly. They shot a lot of really good open 3-pointers, catch and shoot 3-pointers. So I was very, very impressed with that. Defensively, you say, 67 points to Colgate, that's not very good. Okay, I mean, I felt like they were pretty good defensively, and I would also say that if Baylor gives up under 70 points in any tournament games, I think they're going to feel like they have a great chance to win that game and should win that game. So I think they took care of business on both sides of the ball, and I really felt like they came out and put together a very complete performance, and one that was really, really encouraging, as they're going to have a really tough test on Sunday.
This segment with Grayson Grundhoefer brought to you by Richard Carr Motors, Baylor Bear Hotline, with us on 365 Sports.
Grayson, it is spring football now. The battles will start to begin for positions. Really, I always get curious to see what the two deep is, but I would assume that Baylor has no idea what the two deep is right now, and maybe the one that they give us on the day of the spring game will still only be about 75% of the way there.
Yeah, I think that's possible. I mean, I think at some positions we have a pretty good idea of kind of where they're trending, I would say. But, yeah, I think in general there's a lot of competition right now, a lot of spots available, a lot of guys who are really young who are developing and growing, and you're kind of waiting to see, okay, what's that going to look like? Is there a guy that, maybe jumps up and takes a starting position? Maybe a Trey Wilson at field end. Maybe he comes in and takes the starting job as a true sophomore. There's other guys like that as well. Who are in the fold for that. I think there's a few positions that I feel pretty confident in saying, okay, I think I'm pretty confident this is going to be Baylor's starter. But I think you're right in general. There's a lot of competitions, a lot of positions available, and a lot of young guys who are going to have opportunities to show how much they've developed over the spring and then, of course, summer heading into fall.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being we are set, we have no concerns whatsoever, and 10 being, oh my gosh, we are totally screwed, where is your concern level now about nose tackle and the defensive line based on the medical retirements of Jarrell Boykins and Trey Wilson that we heard about the other, or Trey Emery, excuse me, that we heard about the other day?
Yeah. So Trey Emery and Jarrell Boykins both medically retired. Tough losses. So I think, Craig, to answer your question, I know this is going to come off as, all doom and gloom, but I think it's definitely somewhere around a 7 or an 8 right now, and maybe even higher than that. I think you could convince yourself of that. Simply put, Baylor needs to add another defensive lineman who's a veteran with size and experience. I think we've made a lot about the fact that Baylor didn't have a guy who was, 330 pounds and an athletic freak last year, and it's hard to find guys like that, right? Have another Apu Ika. You don't find guys like that very easily. But what they do need is they need a veteran who's big. 300 pounds is fine. Doesn't have to be 320 or whatever, but they need a guy like that. And to be honest, yesterday they offered Indiana defensive lineman Philip Liddy, who was also at Texas Tech the year before. He's about 6'3", 305 pounds. So he's the guy that's just not on the radar, but I think that speaks to just kind of the need that's there, right? It's pretty evident that if you're offering a guy who's a grad transfer basically a day after announcing these medical retirements and a day after that guy entered the transfer portal, I think it's pretty obvious that the staff feels like that's a bit of a need as well.
Grayson, the other problem, isn't it, that everybody wants active, mobile, big dudes in the middle, whether you're running a 4-3 or a 3-4, and there are just not a lot of them out there.
You're correct. And that's why, we talk about this a lot. And I know that people don't want to hear that Baylor was a young team last year, and that's true. They were a young team, and I also understand why people don't want to hear about that. But what I would say is, in order to find guys like that, Smokey, a lot of times to find, multiple of them, you have to recruit them and develop them. Mm-hmm. And I know transfer portal solves a lot of your problems, but like you said, the competition to land high-end guys like that is very difficult. So when you recruit a guy like a Jackie Marshall, for instance, who missed all of last year but is an absolute athletic freak, you lose a guy like that, it makes things really difficult for you. And so I think they got a lot of development with their defensive line guys like DK Kalu, Kyan Roberts-Day, Brendan Bett, Trey Wilson. So I think there's guys in there who could live up to that level. We just haven't seen it yet consistently.
Grayson, the most curious you are about a player taking the next step, who not a transfer, but somebody who returns from last year's roster?
Wow. That's a great question. I think that I'll give you one on the defensive side and one on the offensive side. So, I'm really, really curious. Does Alvin Brooks, the left tackle from last year, Campbell Barrington started initially. He moved to right tackle, moved to guard. Alvin Brooks ended up being the left tackle last year as a redshirt freshman. And now he's coming into his redshirt sophomore year. He's up to 6'6", 315 pounds. And he just has the look of a guy who's going to be a dude. And like when I saw him in high school, his film, getting to see him in person, just a different kind of guy, just the way he's built, long arms, big hands, kind of prototypical for an NFL offensive lineman. If he can take that step forward, it would be huge for this team. And so he's one I'm very, very curious about on the offensive side. Is he going to turn into, one of the top tier offensive tackles in the Big 12? If he can do that, that would obviously be huge for Baylor. On the defensive side, I really, really think that it's got to be Jackie Marshall. And I know it's a tough one because we didn't even get to see him last year because he got injured in the spring, did not play the whole season. But I'm telling you, going into the year last year, into the spring, there were so many talks about what he was going to bring to the table. I felt like he could end up being a starter by the time fall started, and that would have meant starting, either with or over a TJ Franklin or a Gabe Hall. And now he comes back this year. He's over a year removed from the injury, and it just feels like it's time for him to take that next step forward. I think Inoki Breckterfield's going to pull out a lot out of him as well. He seems like a technician as a coach. And so you put all that together, and I think Jackie Marshall is poised to have a very, very nice year for Baylor, a very nice bounce back year, and be a guy that, kind of comes off the radar just because he missed all of last season.
Grayson, where did you find your eyes, I guess, drifting most? I mean, it was you were at the very first practice. They've only practiced a couple of times now. We're not going to try to make too big of a deal of it, obviously. It's spring ball, but I know you were kind of maneuvering around, getting pictures and videos and all of that, but where did you find your eyes drawn the most the other day at practice?
Yeah, I would say it's two things. I pay a lot of attention to the offensive line and defensive line. Just both those positions are extremely fascinating to me, and the positions that I think they matter the most. You got to be able to win in the trenches, and so a lot of times I really drift over there. But I will say, I was looking at the offensive line, defense line, and I turned around, and Jake Spavital was with the quarterbacks, and they're just running 4 wide receiver sets, and they got all 4 quarterbacks standing in the middle. And for about, 15 minutes of the time that we were in there, they're just running routes. And whether it's, screen game with receivers blocking on the outside, throwing short passes for screens, whether it was deep go routes, which I know Baylor fans are really excited to see this year, whether it was wheel routes, stop and go, hitches. It just was a lot of the offense that, it's a variation of what we saw from our Browns, of course, but it was just a lot more characteristics of that spread style, that air raid style. They threw deep crossers, which I'm really excited to see. I think that play works a ton in modern college football. So seeing that and seeing the offense and seeing the receivers get a lot of reps with the quarterbacks, that really stood out to me. And it honestly made practice fun. I feel like there's a lot of momentum on the offensive side. I think for that reason, getting to see those quarterbacks throw the ball to all these weapons and some new weapons like Jamal Bell and Ashton Hawkins, like, you put all that together, and it just made practice a whole lot of fun to watch.
Craig, you can help fill in some of the blanks if I forget, but we asked Spavital last night after the practice about, you have the quarterbacks, and yes, you have receivers, but the spread or the air raid is different. You need those guys who are like the slot receivers types. And he was talking about how he wants the quarterback to develop who they think should be there based on throwing to them all the time. As slots, as long angular guys on the outside, but just put them out there and see who eventually rises to the top to be a part of that inside part of the air raid.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm just, based on practice, they're going to get plenty of reps with these quarterbacks and receivers. I mean, they're throwing that football, and they are getting a ton of reps in, so they're going to find out, pretty quickly what they have in a lot of these guys. But yeah, in the slot in particular, a lot of Jamal Bell, a lot of Ashton Hawkins. Bell really stands out with his speed. He transferred from Nevada, going to be a really valuable return guy as well, but his speed was very evident. And then Hawkins just honestly seems like he's going to be pretty much a go-to guy, just like he was at Texas State, a guy that's going to accumulate a lot of receptions, a lot of first downs, and he's going to surprise you a little bit with his speed, especially on wheel routes when he gets one-on-one opportunities. So there's a few guys that, worked a ton in the slot. There's a few others. I mean, getting to see Jaden Porter, the 4-star true freshman, he looks great. I mean, and really happy for him. He dealt with a whole lot of just nagging injury throughout his senior year of high school. So to get to see him healthy and running and just looking like the player that I remember seeing his junior year and then towards the end of his senior year was really, really cool to see. He looks like he's going to fit right in. And they got other guys as well. I'm sure Monterey Baldwin's going to kind of move around a little bit. And they got other guys who will play that role. But those three really stood out in the practice, session that I was able to watch.
Grayson, thank you. Enjoy your weekend. We appreciate it. Grayson Grundhoefer, Sikkim365.com recruiting analyst, co-host with the Bearcast and Craig, and also a football analyst with what he does with both the website and also this show. And the website, and we brought this up earlier, in fact, Retired Stockbroker became a Premium Insider member earlier this week. If you want to, go to Sikkim365.com. There are different parts of the message board where it's free, and yet there's also the Premium Insider in the forums where you get some really good insight. It's really impressive, and a lot of people, the staff that we have. Like in Memphis right now, Jack McKenzie's there. Ashley Hodge, who's a huge basketball fan, he's there covering the game. He'll do podcasts. Darby's there for us for the show on 365 Sports from KWTX, and Kendall Kaut there too in Memphis. All right, when we come back, we'll get to a couple of the other stories in sports. Update the games. The first games earlier today, not just what we discussed with Baylor's win against Colgate, but the other ones, check in on them. And then, yes, we will have the head basketball coach at Oakland University. Coach Kampe joins us in about 20 minutes after their win against Kentucky. This is 365 Sports. It's not too late. They're open until 6 o'clock. Waco Custom Marketplace, hometown grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and also a full-service bakery. Cold beer, cold wine, all the knickknacks you need, from canned goods to pasta to seasonings, marinades. And my goodness, there's even some of they have a few of these bag and or box type seasonings packages with the ingredients to cook something different other than maybe what you use elsewhere. They also have big tubs that are cold that have the tri-tip, brisket and more. Lobster tank with a bunch of big-time lobster tails. Well, they're not tails yet. They're live lobsters. You get to pick one out what you want. Plus, as they always seem to do, fresh vegetables if you want, from asparagus to potatoes to tomatoes and more. It is Waco Custom Marketplace. Remember now, every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, up until 6 o'clock when they close on Wednesdays, you could order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish for a crawfish boil at your convenience. And they also have the potatoes, the corn on the cob, the shrimp, and the sausage if you want that too. Waco Custom they have the shrimp boil and the crawfish boil seasoning too. Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Cars priced right, day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at AllianceBankTexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
To
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student-athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student-athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student-athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow @GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student-athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive in North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Let's update you on the NCAA tournament. Look at the games that are in progress right now, and I'm telling you, this is impressive. Even though Clemson was a 6 seed, they are rolling New Mexico with 4 minutes to go, 71-52. A lot of brackets, I think, had New Mexico playing Baylor. Mine did. And so Clemson's up 19. Craig, how about yours?
That was no, I think I had Clemson because I just didn't buy into the New Mexico. That's sort of like the blind hype, right? Mm-hmm. For a lot of people, it's just like that was the trendy, like New Mexico is going to be.
Because they have great guard play, and this usually is, but they get
for whatever reason, but that's just a trendy pick is what I'm saying. So that was
Patino was the coach.
Yeah, it was one of those early ones. So yeah, that's impressive by Clemson to be opening it up the way that they are, and barring some sort of epic collapse, I mean, they're going to win that game and face Baylor in the next round. So that's what you can look forward to if you're Scott Drew, start getting to work on Clemson tape.
Yeah, Clemson's rolling. They have been from the beginning. Also, UConn, at one point it was like 41-10. They are smoking Stetson, 85-49. They're taking care of business, get the chance to clear the bench. 2.5 minutes left in that game.
Is Stetson still an aftershave?
I would guess so.
I don't
know.
But I remember, and I know the hat, and I know Stetson University in Florida. It's in the Orlando area. But but I always remember their jingle.
Stetson aftershave. Yes.
Stetson makes it easy.
It looks like a bottle of whiskey. The way it's, of course, most of the cologne has that kind of gold color to it. But they still have it.
Yeah, Stetson was one that you would.
Is there an aftershave that doesn't sting right after you?
I don't know. That was what you if you were in a hotel, not a good one, like a Motel 6, and they had like an aftershave. That's what they'd put in there.
Also, Auburn, 31-27.
$22. It's not
20. Auburn
it's
leads
Car Noir.
Auburn leads Yale. There was a moment about, I don't know, early to midway through the first half where an Auburn player got hit with an intentional flagrant 2, a couple of free throws for Yale, but 31-27. Now, if it stays close like that, that's how those Ivy League teams, man, they run you to death, whether it's Princeton or in this case, but Auburn, you would think still with too much firepower, but they're up 5 minutes to go.
As a person who sat in Providence, Rhode Island, and watched Yale beat Baylor, there's never anything that will surprise me about the Ivy League beating a team.
Nice.
And part of it I do think is just the fact that they're an Ivy League team playing a power conference team, that lulls the power conference team into a false sense of who you're playing. Mm-hmm. Whether you know it or not, I think it happened for Baylor where they thought, okay, the rest of this bracket is going to be tough, so today will be our day. And then Yale played so much harder than them, and of course got the great rebound line out of Torian Prince.
Well, who was Makai
Mason,
who ended up playing for Baylor, had a big game for them too.
If you're still overlooking the lower seeds in the Ivy Leagues at this point, then you deserve what's coming your way. I mean, how many pieces of evidence over the years do you need to see that you can't overlook anybody, much less a Yale or someone like that? But yeah, maybe that does creep into some teams' brains that it's a lower seed or it's an Ivy League or whatever. I just don't know how you could possibly do that at this point without really risking getting your confidence a little bit too high and having that come back to bite you. But Auburn's a really good team. I mean, so there's a long way to go in that one. But, we're here talking about the various conference records or throwing that out. The SEC got off to a bad start. You need to talk about a bad start. Have Auburn lose and then have, there's another game ongoing, Tennessee. I think. Who?
It was Tennessee last night.
Yeah, well, Tennessee won last night. I'm talking about there's another game I think ongoing right now.
Yeah, Florida, Colorado
is playing.
Yeah.
So, if that would be a real throw up the graphic and look how bad this is if Auburn were to drop in the round of 64. Florida, not so much. That's a close 10-7 type of a game. But yeah, Auburn's playing some good basketball, so that's fun. That'll be a fun one to watch here the rest of the way.
Every time I see an Auburn score, it's like up 9 and then it's up 4. And so Yale hanging around. Best Ivy League upsets. In 1996, Princeton and their zone defense beat UCLA 43-41. There have been Cornell in 2010, went 13-1 in the conference, ended up winning 78-65 against what was John Chaney and that run that he had at Temple. Of course, was it Princeton that beat Indiana and Bob Knight many, many years ago? And you mentioned, Paul, the game between Yale and Baylor about a decade ago.
Yeah, that was Makai Mason, who would then go be a Baylor Bear after that, and that was pre-transfer portal, right?
That was graduate transfer portal.
Yeah, graduate transfer. Yeah. That wasn't one of those.
Or he sit out a year, even still.
Yeah.
He sat out a year.
That was a really good player who turns around and ends up on your team. So that's just kind of how it can work sometimes. And so, yeah, he'll be remembered as the guy who bit them big time, along with R.J. Hunter will be another one from that State. Loss from Georgia State. But in Makai's case, he became a Bear, so that calm feeling's a little bit surrounding him. But, yeah, go ahead and Sharpie Clemson in to face Baylor. There's a minute left. They're up 23. It's over. No chance of a comeback for New Mexico. So, yeah, the 6 moves on in the Clemson Tigers, and they will face Scott Drew and the Bears. So get ready for that one here on Saturday.
Start doing your brushing up on that.
No, Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Princeton beat and Pete Carroll beat Texas. They were 26-1 in '98. Beat Rick Barnes in Texas back in 1990. I guess it would have been Rick Barnes. It wouldn't have been Tommy Penders, I don't think. But beat Texas back in 1998. So they got more than just. You remember that game? They've got a bunch of remember those games. Also, other updates. Florida and Colorado back and forth. There's still a couple of minutes left now in the first half. That's going to end up being down to the wire at halftime. 41-38 right now. Colorado is in that lead. Games from earlier today. You guys with quick comments, and then eventually Coach Kampe joins us at 4:30. Marquette early on with Western Kentucky down 7 at halftime. Marquette was down 7. They end up blowing off the toppers 87-69. Kolek, by the way, for Marquette at 18 points, 11 assists. He's good. A great guard for them. Baylor beat Colgate. We've been over that one. 69-65. San Diego State from the Mountain West. UAB. That thing went down to the wire. San Diego State gets 32 from Ledee, and they win 69-65. They were in the Final Four a year ago. Florida Atlantic was too, but got blown out in overtime by Northwestern of the Big Ten, 77-65.
Yeah, San Diego State playing with a little bit of fire there, and able to survive and move on. That's all that matters, man. It's like, I'm sure you have your concerns or your positives, your negatives. You grade it out. Your assistant coaches tell you go watch the film and all that. But, man, just survive in advance and improve in between games as best you can. But, we've had nothing crazy, though. I mean, except for Detroit. I mean, that was clearly the craziest moment to happen so far. But beyond that not too many like, oh my God, I can't believe this has happened, March Madness moments, but certainly that was one last night.
Bracket Cat on the chat. A good point. New Mexico wasn't a trendy pick. They were the outright favorite. This is an upset according to Vegas. Thank you very much for that conversation, that comment too. Kyle Visser, retired stockbroker's brother-in-law, was not doing great. Pray for him. He's not doing very well, so thank you for that update. We always love Chris, retired stockbroker. He's one of our loyal guys. And, Kim Coulter's like in Puerto Rico or something.
Well, I mean, he's going to have to probably, go off the grid for a couple days after the.
Oh no, he's not. He's not happy. And I'm glad I brought that up because Texas Tech last night
after the guns weren't loaded last night.
7 of 31 shooting threes. That's first of all, that's a bucket load of threes, and that's a bucket load that you missed as well. 24 of your 31 threes you did not hit.
They didn't bring bullets; they brought bricks.
There you go.
Well, I kid because I love Kim. I kid because I love him.
Yeah, I mean,
I know. Okay, go ahead.
They'll be fine in the long run. I mean, Grant McCaslin had a nice first year. Let him, go get an off season and hit the portal and go recruit. And I think they're on a good trajectory. But yeah, that's obviously disappointing to bow out early and just not their night. Clearly by. What y'all mentioned as far as the shooting goes and just what the other team was able to do as well. Got to give them a lot of credit. So, yeah, that's unfortunate, but I think Grant McCaslin's going to have them winning tournament games in a very short amount of time.
It will be tough. They'll be gritty. They'll also play even better defense because that's what he does. By the way, Kim just devoured me with a text earlier the week. Remember we had John Rahm's menu for the Masters? Mm-hmm. He said, you might want to consider boning up on your Italiano. Yeah, I said.
Well, John Rahm is a Spaniard.
Because what was the menu was Spanish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to have a menu based on where you're from.
No, but I mean, like usually, like everything else, you were gone, but everything else was Spanish.
I just crushed it. He goes, made me laugh out loud. I said, I saw ribeye, and that was the only word that made sense to me. He goes, I've been to Rome 5 times. I had to learn some of that blank. I also played Rome Country Club, by the way. Eat your heart out. So thank you to that. When we come back, Oakland University, right now, front and center. Coach Kampe, the head coach at Oakland, will join us next. And this is 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick, GMC Cadillac, and I think I said Detroit when I meant Oakland a few minutes ago. But regardless, I won't mispronounce or get the name wrong of Richard Carr Motors, because they are the people that you can count on. They're the people that I've counted on more than one occasion over the years. And right now they are celebrating their 25th anniversary of sales event. I mean, they've been in business now for over 2 decades here in the Central Texas area, and we do have the crazy mad month of March ongoing, so it's a double whammy of fun and celebration, and right now you can celebrate 25 years of business and the mad month of March here in Waco and take advantage of mad savings all month long, like thousands on a new Buick Envision. Buick SUVs are amazing value. You can drive one today and feel the quiet luxury and also see the versatile space. Buick delivers uncommon luxury at a common price. So come by the dealership and experience a Buick test drive today. Not only save thousands on a new Buick Envision, but qualified buyers can also get 0.9% financing, and military and first responders can also save an additional $500. You can go by the dealership, you can give them a phone call, or go visit the website to see more details. But also here during the month of March, with any car or truck purchased during the anniversary event, you can get a 65-inch 4K TV. So swoop on in, get yourself one of those brand new Buick SUVs, have the peace of mind of driving a great versatile car, but also when you get back home, you got a brand spanking new beautiful 4K television to watch as well. During their 25th anniversary savings event, big savings on over 90 highly inspected used cars and trucks, and 100% credit approval is always their goal. They say yes when others say no. So take advantage of all the great deals. New pre-owned, the 4K TV, the mad month of March, the 25th anniversary. Go and enjoy it all right now over at Richard Carr. The people you can count on for your automotive needs. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Samantha Duvall, TexasBeefHouse.com with me, David Smoak. And tell you what, you guys keep rolling along. You do have yet another date, correct, for an online and live auction?
Yes, our next online and live auction will be Thursday, April 25th.
We've discussed how this has been unique and how people have reacted to it. Has that momentum continued as you've done more?
Yes, it's kind of half and half. We'll have a good amount of people there that are from the area, and then we have probably 40% that we ship out. And everybody that I've delivered locally to has talked about how much fun they had, and they want to know when the next one's going to be. We've gotten great feedback from the people that we've shipped to. They're all just so excited about this event, and they can't wait for the next one to happen.
Premium grade East Texas beef. Customers don't have to go out and buy their beef. TexasBeefHouse.com. From their family and their ranch to your plate. TexasBeefHouse.com.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Our good friend Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jewelers here at 365 Sports. Now, Brad, people who watch and listen to our show know I'm a double-time customer for you, engagement ring and wedding band, and you guys do that great, but that's not all you do at Boozer's Jewelers.
Absolutely. And I always like to say, it's a new year. It's a great way to start the year out. Go through your old jewelry. Go through your wife's jewelry box. Go through anything you're maybe not wearing, something that's broken, something that you're not using. We do a massive amount of custom work. We can take your old jewelry, old diamonds, old watches, and we can convert it into something special for you and make a one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And if that's not something you're interested in, a great thing is we can turn that into cash. So we buy gold, we buy diamonds, we'll buy Rolex watches, any kind of heirloom jewelry, anything that's maybe passed down to you.
Boozer's Jewelers, where do they find you, Brad?
We're at 1025 North Valley Mills Drive, right on the corner of Lake Air Drive and Valley Mills with the big clock on the corner.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
So I reached out to Oakland University after last night's win against Kentucky, and they've moved on. They've got another game coming up, of course, this weekend, and said, what the hell? See if Greg Kampe's available. We've done that during the tournament over the years, and Greg Kampe from Oakland University joins us on 365 Sports. Coach, I know you're awfully and incredibly busy. What have the last, let's say, 18 hours or so been like for you?
Hell. Absolute hell. All I do is talk, and I love talking, but I never thought I'd hate it. It's been nonstop. The only time it was nonstop was from about 2 in the morning to 4 in the morning. But then I had to answer my text messages. I had 1,300 text messages, and you don't want to answer them during the day because if you do, then they'll text back, and then instead of 1,300, you have 2,600, right? So I got through to all but about 150, and just now before I got on, I looked at my phone, and I'm back up to 480. So tonight at 2 o'clock, I'll get up again and try and finish it off.
Coach, I knew going into the game after reading about you guys and seeing what you that Jack Golke was a 3-point shooter, and that's what you talked about. But we just saw his shot chart, and I didn't realize that he is exclusively a 3-point shooter. When he does take a shot close to the basket, do you worry that his depth perception might be off for a second?
No, I make it go on a treadmill if he shoots 2. I don't want him shooting any 2s. He's a 3-point shooter. And then if he shoots a 2, it means he's got to dribble it. So if he dribbles it, he'll probably turn it over. So I don't want that.
Yeah, he does a lot of does those catch and shoots. He doesn't even take a step or two. He just, boom, he's ready.
Right. Or a shot fake and you fly by and then he shoots it, So I had a guy a couple of years ago. He actually, in Dallas now, he's with the Mavericks as their video coordinator, a guy named Max Hooper. And he went through the season with 245 shots, and they were all threes. He's the only guy in the history of college basketball to do that. So it's not unusual here. We like that.
Coach, I really enjoyed your post-game interview last night, you and Jack Golke, and he had the great line to end it about, we're not a Cinderella. I just thought it was a great sign-off. You mentioned during that interview of you're going to enjoy it, but you have games to play. So how did you enjoy last night, and how quickly did you get back to work and focusing on the next one?
Well, we got through watched a little bit, got back to the hotel, and we had dinner, and we had a riot at dinner because Golke's turned into some, social media sports hero or something.
Yeah.
Somebody tweeted out something like, this Oakland, Jack Golke just beat 5 pros at Kentucky, and he'll probably be an insurance salesman next year. So our players were like singing like a good neighbor, Jack Golke's there. I mean, we had a great time last night, and then we put them to bed and we got to work, and we're just trying to worry about, NC State right now. That's all we're trying to get done.
Have you even thought about the value of what and I know you would like to have 5 more, but the value of that publicity means to the program and the university you love so much?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's, I'm trying to keep the players away from that, but they're going down in history, they'll be invited back every 10 years. They probably won't ever have to pay for a meal again in Rochester. I mean, that's unbelievable what it did, but our school website crashed last night. There were so many hits on it. And then today, this is a funny story, man. Today, our school, the online T-shirt sales, we sold $8,000 worth of T-shirts to Louisville.
Yeah.
I mean, not to the school. I mean, just people in Louisville, Kentucky, using their credit card to buy Oakland T-shirts. It was like, I don't know if the word went out in Louisville, everybody buy an Oakland shirt for our game next year with Kentucky, or we're just going to drive around the state of Kentucky wearing Oakland shirts just to rub it into the blue bloods' heads or something. I don't know. $8,000 worth of shirts from bought in Louisville is just insane.
Coach, one of the best parts about March Madness is you get to find out about programs like yours. And this is not your first trip there, obviously the 4th time you've been there. But the more you learn about, this is a small town school. I mean, your dentist's son is on the team. His dad is taking pictures as a credentialed media member. That does not happen everywhere. And it's such a unique and cool story. What is, the vibe? Does it feel like you're small town? You've been there for 40 years. It's just something so bucolic and different than we normally get.
If you saw this as a Disney movie, you would say, this ain't real. I mean, it's crazy that, his dad played for me, and his dad was, he could get the jump ball for us. So he's 6'9", and he could get me the jump ball, but he would go get me very many points. But I tell him, you're the best recruiter I ever had because I got your son because of you, and he's player of the year in our league. So, it's crazy. And his mom's my dentist, and kids sat on my lap when he was 4 years old, came to my camp. I mean, it's just unbelievable story. And no, we're not that small. I mean, we're a suburb of Detroit, which is, one of the 10 largest media markets in the country. So it seems like it might be a small town though, but it's a suburb, there's a ton of people around. We have a great fan base. We've got 20,000 students at Oakland. So it's not some little school.
So you've said try to keep the players, although let them enjoy this, but also let them understand that there's something else. How quickly have they responded to getting refocused for round 2?
Well, I said that before I got to the locker room, right? That was right after the game on the court. And when I got to the locker room, I didn't have to worry about it because, usually they show the locker rooms and the coaches are doing all these fancy dance moves, which I can't do. So, if they played Barry Manilow music, maybe I could do something, but, I don't know what the hell the coaches do. And the players are acting like they won the national championship, spraying water everywhere and things like that. I walked into my locker room, they're just sitting there. They're just sitting there. They're having a good time laughing and that, but there's no, they got a higher cause. They know how important this game Saturday is. And while they're pretty full of themselves for winning that game, they surely didn't take it to a level that would get me to be concerned. And we had a great practice today. We're focused on what we're going to do, and I think we'll be ready to play tomorrow.
How much of an advantage is it that you do have guys that are juniors and seniors that have been with the program and bright lights, even though these lights are the brightest, don't bother them as much, or they've been through different things, as opposed to a team, you played Kentucky last night. A lot of guys are going to be NBA players, but this is also their first big-time night that they've really had.
Yeah, we played an unbelievable non-league schedule, though. Now, those games, they're not on primetime TV. They're on the Big Ten Network or something like that, and And while they mean a lot at that time, it doesn't have the pressure that game had last night. But I think the pressure was more on Kentucky, especially when we showed them that we were going to play with them. It wasn't going to be a 40-point blowout. And I think the pressure was more on them than it was us. But we could have won at Ohio State. Or no, we should have won at Ohio State. We could have won at Illinois, and we did win at Xavier. We lost at Michigan State. We lost at Dayton. So we played everybody. We knew that we can compete, and we knew that we had a chance to win. We didn't care who we were playing. And so I think that played a big part in what you're saying.
So, Coach, Tom Izzo had some comments earlier in the week about the tournament. Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, was talking about things are changing when it comes to the mid-majors. And how much of that trickled? We had John Gallagher, coach at Manhattan, and, of course, he was at Hartford. We've had him on the last 3 or 4 years. They opened up the year Baylor won the national title with Baylor. He's been a great guest for ours. How much of those comments trickled into the mid-major programs, coaches, and fans?
No, they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. You got the greatest sporting event in the world.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not the greatest, it's one of the top 3. You got the World Cup, you got the Super Bowl, and you got this. And the opening weekend's the weekend that matters. I mean, there's a lot of people watching in the Sweet 16 and the Final Four, but those are the core basketball fans. You got everybody watching with a bracket in this first week. And if you change this, it's just stupidity and you can quote me on that, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's stupidity. It is just utter stupidity. You got the best event in the world. Why would you change it over greed? Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered, man. You do not want to change this tournament.
Coach, amen. It is perfect. It's the 5-star steakhouse. Like, you can't do any better. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, it's so wonderful.
Yep, it really is. But people change the world, and it depends on who's in charge. And you get the wrong people in charge, and you do stupid things that have to be corrected later. But I don't know if you can ever put the toothpaste back in something like this if you change it. So better be very, very careful before you change it.
Hey, Greg, I know you're busy. You have text messages probably coming in while you're on with us, and you have other interviews to do. Thanks to Reedy for help setting this up, Michael for setting this up. It really is great to have you on the show. Wish you the best, and hopefully we're talking to you again maybe next week. Congratulations. Keep it going. What a story. And as Golke said, we're not Cinderella. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having us on. It was really, really nice of you. And if you want me back and we win, I'll come back.
You got it. That's a great – thank you. Greg Kampe, the head coach at Oakland, been there 40 years, since the mid-'80s. And we could have gone on and on, but he has other interviews to get to. And thanks again to Michael Reedy for setting that up for us. That's a big get.
You don't have to give me another reason to root against NC State.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Marty.
That's right.
Yeah, no doubt. But, hey, I'm just blown away that he has time to give to somebody like us. Mm-hmm. But then again, I mean, you've got your moment. You got to take advantage of it, too. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sure he'd rather be game planning, but it's like, hey, you've got your 15 minutes. You hope to make it 30, 45. You hope to make it a whole hour of fame here over the course of the tournament. But, yeah, take advantage of that good pub. And just what a game. What a fun game. What a win. And what a great, I think, humble bunch of coaches and players that we saw last night. And just even more respect hearing him over these last few minutes as well. So, yeah, that's a fun team to root for. They're not Cinderella, but I think they've got a lot of brand-new fans after last night that want to see them cause some more chaos. So let's see and hope that they can, except for if you're an NC State fan.
Yeah, how about that? 1,300 text messages. And he's smart. If you return them during the day, it's 2,600. Garrett, Craig just mentioned the fact we had him on. We like to promote what we do, what we try to do. So last night, I woke up and just enough to be able to see the final scores. I'd been asleep maybe an hour or two with KU winning against Sanford. And I said, what the hell? I'm going to email. I went on, got my directory, emailed Mike, God dang it, I just missed it, Reedy. And what did you say one of the things you've learned about this, what we do here?
Is don't ever worry about getting told no, because you're never going to know. So you go ahead, always ask the question, because you're never, if you wouldn't have done that, then you would never have gotten him. So, yeah, always do that.
I could have just kept sleeping or just said, I could have just forgotten. And I said, no, we've done that before with other St. Peter's. Remember, we had their coach on the show.
Dude, so much happens in people's lives because they just simply try. Like, I mean, really,
Exactly.
like it's really like the biggest thing, and you can fake your way through it. So long as you try, you can find out like some amazing things happen. I know I'm speaking to probably an older audience that's already learned that lesson, but for anybody younger, like even if you have imposter syndrome or whatever it is, like just simply trying will take you so much further than not trying, no matter how you feel about it. And so, yeah, like I remember cold calling Barry Switzer like 15 years ago. Like, what the hell? I'll give it a try. He's probably not going to say yes. And he said yes. And would we have Barry Switzer on the show that I was doing then if I hadn't called him and just said, what the hell? No, wouldn't have had him on. But got him that day. And that's a valuable lesson for, I think, anybody in any walk of life, but definitely in this profession is like, yeah, give it a try. And if it doesn't work out, so what? But you don't have that regret afterwards, right? Of like, oh, man, I should have. You tried. It worked or it didn't. And yeah, simple as that.
Yeah. Hey, I can tell you many Super Bowls where I'm just looking at someone going, we're not going to get them on. Or we had somebody one time that came over and said we were supposed to get someone who was not as big as the people we got. And it led to where we got them on in 2020. I remember a couple more times, or at least one of them. But they came over and said, hey, I'm sorry, but we are doing this promotion with Snickers, and we have Ronnie Lott and Eric Dickerson here to do an interview. And I was like, well, screw the other guys.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
We'll take them, and I've walked up to many of people and been told no, but guess what? I don't die wondering.
Yeah, you don't say like, man, what would have happened if I would have asked? You know, and hey, it was no, and so what? You move on and you go to the next one, but sometimes they say yes, and yeah, I mean, so much. I really do feel like so much of success is just trying. It's simple as that. But yeah, that was great. That was cool, and little further window into these first few days of March Madness.
How about no, you're right. And how about the quote? I think Denzel Washington does a speech. He's been quoted about you have to fail, and in this case. They could have said, man, we just can't. Maybe next week. How about this quote from Coach Kampe? It's on the NCAA tournament and the growth and the possibility of mid-majors being left behind. Not all, but some. It's utter stupidity, and you can quote me on that. The best event in the world, white changeover greed, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Yeah.
And you can quote me on that.
I know Tom Izzo's like, that's not what I said. At this point, he's like, I didn't say that, but I mean, it's too late. The hay's out of the barn at this point for Tom Izzo and his quotes. So that sucks for him. But I mean, that's where everybody's mind is, though, is that's where it's all heading is
absolutely
screw the little guy, more big teams, more big names, more big brands. Did they earn it? Doesn't matter. Just more big names, more big ratings, more big. And I think you're seeing some of that pushback. Now, I'm sure there will be some TV network exec that'll, rush and show you how, like, there was two big brands and it got this many million viewers, or this game that had an FAU in it was like the least watched or whatever. Doesn't affect my enjoyment whatsoever. I mean, I understand those people got a job to do as well, but it should always be about actually earning your spot. And right now you have to earn your spot, and I don't think expanding the field makes people earn it the way that they've always had to earn it. I think it opens it up to where you can just be okay and find yourself in the NCAA tournament. And I don't think that should be the case necessarily. I don't think you should be able to push out teams at lower level that have done everything they possibly can, did everything, winning included, and to suddenly just kind of give the feeling of pushing them to the side so that like a seventh seeded team out of the whatever bigger conference gets in. I just don't like that idea. And I think we've heard a lot of people don't like that idea. So I'm curious of how the big wigs, the network execs, the college football money people, how they continue down that path of what they eventually do with the tournament.
Couldn't have said it better myself. UConn crushed Stetson. You're going to have that. Baylor hammered Colgate. You're going to have that. You're going to have some teams that blow out other teams. And then you're going to have Oakland and Duquesne. And Florida Atlantic and San Diego State last year. And that's, to me, why it's almost like the opening round of the Masters. It's a day when a lot of guys, they have those the vasectomies like we talked about this week. But people call in sick, opening day of Major League Baseball. This tournament is about who wins the national title. But it's also about Cinderella, or how many are them and how long they can go. And good luck to Oakland.
Nothing that's happened in the last 36 hours. Actually, nothing that's happened this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and this morning and afternoon gives any credence to Greg Sankey and Brett Yormark and everybody else who wants to expand this tournament. Not one single thing that's happened, not one says this thing needs to get bigger.
And again,
we need a 9th Big 12 team versus a whatever. No, and look, we cover all of college sports as best we can. Certainly, there's a lean towards the Big 12 because of where we are and just kind of how this all started and all of that. But we don't have to agree with everything Brett Yormark says. And I don't agree with him on the expansion of the tournament. But do I understand it? Yeah, I absolutely understand it. As a fan, I don't want it. I want it exactly the way that it is and hope that it continues that way for a long time. But as somebody understanding the business side of things and where he's trying to get extra money and do that, I totally get it. But the fan in me overrules the understanding part of me, and the fan in me wants it to stay the way that it is. But like I said, we'll see where that takes us because – you're right. There's been no examples of why it should change so far or why the other train of thought is better, but it always does come down to money. But anyways, you mentioned opening day. I just wanted to pass along because we don't talk a lot of baseball, but Wyatt Langford, opening day roster for the Texas Rangers.
And they were wanting to it's not like they wanted to avoid that, but because Paul and Craig, the way contracts are set up with baseball, that if you only play a certain amount of games your rookie year, there's a chance you may get that extra year with him. And so that guy's it's impossible to leave him behind.
What are you doing, especially if you're the Rangers right now, and you have an opportunity to where he can come up and maybe fail a little bit and it's not going to kill you.
Right.
I get it. If you're a team that is rebuilding, if you're the A's, of course they're not even built yet, which is not fair to those guys. But if you're a team that, is rebuilding, maybe you don't want to get that service clock started because what good is it going to do you, if they're not going to help you right away? If they can get better in the minors for another month or two, and then you can bring them up later when you know that you're not necessarily going to compete or you don't know. But if you're the Rangers and you're trying to back up a World Series title with another World Series title, and you have the lineup you already have that had 0 holes in it already, and he can come up and be on the opening day roster and start for you and give you even more depth, there's no reason not to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the writing's been on the wall. I know that Bochy's kind of danced around it because he didn't want to just give it, say it midway through spring, like, yeah, he's on the opening day. I mean, you want him to earn it, and then not really so much focus about being on the opening day roster, but, I mean, he just didn't give them much of a choice, guys. I mean, he raked in spring after a little bit of a slow start, and throughout spring was like leaders in all of spring training and homers and, just crazy good, crazy young, and just was playing for Florida less than 2 years ago. And here he is, and he's going to be making his MLB debut here in the next few weeks. So, yeah, that's just something that was official earlier today. Obviously, we have an interest in the Rangers, and so I'm so excited to see this guy on the big stage, however that starts out. And just hope he's able to stay up there. And if not, like you said, I mean, he's young, and he can go down to the minors, and it's totally fine, and it's not something that you're scared of. Yeah.
I hope he keeps number 82. I know he's not going to, but
let me tell you how good he is. When they had some injuries pop up during the playoffs, especially when Adolis Garcia's got hurt, remember, they were even contemplating bringing him up, and he had not played a major league game.
Yeah, they had an emergency squad of guys. Like Jack Leiter was on there, and he was on there, and it was in case of injury. And, yeah, they actually did at least have conversations about, like, is he going to play in the freaking postseason as, like, a less than a year into the game at the pro level? Like, he just was in the College World Series. He would have been the first guy, I believe, that would have played in the same year, College World Series and World Series. So he didn't quite get that. I believe he would have been the first to ever do that in the same season, but he didn't get there. He got close, though, because, he was on that emergency, break the glass in case of emergency squad that they had there for a second. But, that's official. I'm excited about it. He's got star potential, but not going too crazy. But this does seem different than Jerks and Profar and, all the other big-name guys over the years.
I'm glad that I can claim at least some sort of, like, good news and enjoyment with the Rangers because of my father, even though, like, the one, like, failing thing he did is transfer complete Rangers fandom over to me because he sent me to all these damn Red Sox games. What do you think was going to happen, when I was young and impressionable? It's like he gave me cocaine at age 12. Like, what's going to happen? like the Red Sox, it's a fun ride, and then you crash hard. But do you remember? Do you remember when I was the one who had joy in my life, and you guys were sad?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. It's great to have the shoe on the other foot now. It's great. I swear, and we got to move on here.
I still don't even sometimes believe it.
No, I mean, just the fact they have a World Series now, like, totally changes every single thing about the entire fandom of being a Rangers. I mean, it changes everything. And so, it's amazing that they won the World freaking Series, and now you've got, I think you see it in the excitement about, like, prospects now, and just, like, there's a whole new level of interest by a lot of people in the whole organization because of what they went and did, and that's why you see such a spotlight on Wyatt Langford. But, yeah, he's going to be one to watch. He'll be on opening day roster. Let's see where it goes.
We'll come back in the 5 o'clock hour, look again at games that are starting to get down to the wire. Also, a quote from the Clemson coach from a couple of weeks ago about the net rankings in the Big 12, and they now are next up for Baylor. This is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. In fact, it was, a day or two ago. I'm on my way back to the condo after the show was over, and Ted Teague called me about wanting to drive a couple of their vehicles over the next couple of weeks, including the Charger and a couple of others. So we will be in the middle of doing that. Alan Samuels right now is in the middle of some great pre-owned cars. A one-owner 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300, sleek, sexy, with only 19,000 miles for just under $38,000. 2024 Ford Explorer leather seats, sunroof, one owner. Available right now. Want economy? The 2021 Nissan Kicks, great little car, fuel mileage for $18,365. 2024 Chevy 1500 Crew Cab. These are pre-owned, 5,000 miles, hard tunnel cover for $45,000. Also a 2022 Jeep Wagoneer Series 3, 44,000 miles, one owner, right now for $58,550. David, Gray, Elias Peniston, and others are there helping you with what you need when it comes to a vehicle. These are pre-owned 2022 Toyota Tundra, limited, loaded, big screen, sunroof, everything but the kitchen sink for under $25,000 overall. It's Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. They have the Jeep Ram and all of what you want, but also a fantastic options of what you want with pre-owned too at Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Thank you for calling your local Marco's Pizza. We're turning up the heat with our new Reaper Cheesy Bread. Fresh, house-made dough is topped with a spicy cheese blend infused with jalapeno, habanero, and Carolina Reaper peppers. At only $5.99, this limited-time product is a hot deal. Add it to your order while you can. A Marco's team member will be with you shortly.
Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it, and that offer on the Reaper Cheesy Bread is available right now at any of the 5 Marco's Pizza locations in Waco, including Belmead, China Spring, Robinson, Woodway, and Hewitt. Order online at marcos.com. Call for a pickup or delivery. Marco's Pizza is turning up the heat with their all-new Reaper Cheesy Bread with fresh, hot, house-made dough topped with a spicy cheese blend infused with jalapeno, habanero, and Carolina Reaper peppers, and only $5.99 and for a limited time only. Marco's Pizza, the fastest-growing pizza brand in America. 5 locations in Waco, and the new Reaper Cheesy Bread. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at AllianceBankTexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is 365 Sports.
The Sikkim 365 app is brought to you by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Ball's top 5 at the end of the hour. This is 365 Sports. Hope you've enjoyed your day and so far the first couple of days of the NCAA tournament full throttle, Thursday and Friday, and of course the early games on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I have UConn winning it all. That's boring. It's like watching grass grow. Paul, you have Auburn winning it all.
Yes.
And Yale has taken the lead on the Tigers.
Yep.
With under 15 minutes or 16 minutes to go.
Looks like Johnny Broom just got hit in the biscuits.
He's their dude, right?
Yeah.
Also, Florida, back and forth. Still a lot of time left with Colorado up by 2, 54-52. Nebraska A&M around the corner. Note about Nebraska in the NCAA men's tournament. I think they won a Big 12 tournament or two back in the day. They have never won a game in the NCAA tournament.
Is that right?
Now, I don't think they've been to like 35 of them, but they have never won. Paul, we were in San Antonio when Baylor was pretty good. Went down there to watch them at the, the Alamo Dome, and they beat Nebraska. They just had too much for them.
Yeah, Craig was there. Yeah, right? Were you
when
there?
was this?
In San Antonio? We went to San Antonio, right? You were at that one?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, okay. No. I could have sworn you were.
It's the one where we're doing the show at the hotel in the lobby, or like a walkway.
Yeah.
And Paul...
No, I'm going to stop you here. I need to find I don't know. I've been through 4 computers. No, I wish I did. I'll have to.
We don't need to go there, do we?
No, we're going to.
We're going to go. We're going to go to Real Spaghetti Sauce too.
No, Nebraska never won a Big 12 tournament.
Maybe it was a Big 8 tournament. Maybe it was a Big 8.
But
because when you said that, I was like, I don't think so.
That wasn't very nice. Kansas fans probably went, no, they haven't.
Craig, this is why I thought you were there, because I thought you heard him say it. But they had a player on the team that was their main star, and we're walking down, like we get in there, and I was doing the post game. Smokey had already started the show, and
2014,
so 2014, and so I sat down and put the headset on, and he goes, "Look, Nebraska's got a really good team, but I'll just say his name was Carter
Pettaway."
Pettaway, okay. He's like, Pettaway's a heck of a player, but does he just jack off too much? And I went, I have no idea the answer to that question. There's nothing I can say.
I just skipped right through jack it up.
A little bit too much of an advanced scouting report for me.
And I couldn't, I was dying. I couldn't breathe. And he was like, he's giving me this look. Like right now, thank God we were on YouTube, because it would have just been, it would have been all over the place. He was giving me this look like, what is so funny? Why did I ask you?
I did not know what I said.
So Jason, our producer, who talked like this, goes, guys, we got to go to break. We got to go, because he was dying laughing too. He was going to break. And so Smokey goes, Jason, what did I say? I said, you said, does he jack off too much? And you went, no, I didn't. And there was a guy,
security guy
down the hallway goes, oh yeah, you did.
Yeah. He was like 35, 40 feet away.
Nice
and
assist.
Yeah, you did. Baylor won that game 74-60. Pettaway was 5 of 15 from the field, but 0 for 7 outside of the 3-point circle. And that's who I was referring to. And Nebraska was beaten by Baylor.
I think the only time I went down to San Antonio was for the women's tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was because I remember one trip we went down there, but I want to say that was for the women that I was down there for, and I enjoy San Antonio on little short trips like
I love
like
San
that.
Antonio. Yeah,
but
for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, for a little long weekend, it's great, and I think I was down there for the women's tournament, but. That's an all-time classic, and the freedom of YouTube, baby, where it's not as much of a big deal, but I can picture Jason's very distinct voice in my head. Guys, gotta go to break, guys. But
Jason
shout out to Jason Behringer.
He had a nasally voice. He's now in Tampa. Great guy, loyal as hell, and loved sports. Loved him to death. Auburn now up 2 on Yale with 15:39. There's still
forever
plenty to go.
Forever to go.
And then Florida, Colorado, back and forth. Finals from earlier today, if you're just now tuning in and you were not able to keep up with much, even though I'm sure 99% of America is doing that. Clemson rolled past New Mexico, 77-56. They will now play Baylor, who beat Colgate 92-67. UConn smoked Stetson 91-52. Marquette came back from down 7 at halftime to beat Western Kentucky 87-69. And also San Diego State beating UAB by 4. And Northwestern in overtime outscored Florida Atlantic, a Cinderella team a year ago, 19-7 to win by 12. And now Dusty May and the possibility he might be moving on, and possibly the thought it could be Louisville. No, that's just one of the reports going on out there.
Where all of the attention seemed to turn after the Scott Drew news came out, and Jeff Goodman basically confirmed that, and people, I think, all finally decided, like, okay.
Said it in a press conference yesterday.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
So, I think that's all settled, and so Louisville turns their attention elsewhere, and Dusty May is the name that you hear, or at least the one that I've seen more than any other.
They've got time to interview him now.
Yeah, they do. So maybe that starts to get started down that pathway, but yeah, that wouldn't come as a surprise.
So there we are with that. And of course, the women's tournament also underway, and Baylor playing tonight against Vanderbilt. And if they do win, most likely Virginia Tech, who has lost their best player, Kitley, as we mentioned yesterday. So there we are with a lot of that. Is there one more, Garrett? I don't think.
The Clemson coach quote.
The Clemson coach. That's who Baylor will play on Sunday. So the head coach of the Clemson Tigers, Brad Brownell, Brownell, called out Big 12 teams for manipulating. Remember this from a couple of weeks ago. Manipulating the net, their non-conference scheduling. They're like playing 300-level teams and winning by 40, 50 points to increase their efficiency numbers. Our league is actually 9-3 against the Big 12, and that's fact. Well, now they're going to play Baylor, and maybe they win that game, and maybe he kind of bows his chest, but don't think that's probably not something of incentive if Coach Drew and company, and they're good for that, trying to get his team motivated if they don't need to be motivated, because they should be.
Yeah, I mean, it can be motivation. I don't think it's the driving force, but I also don't think that if Clemson and Brad Brownell beat Baylor that it's a sign that he was right. I think this is a very unique tournament where it's game by game, and what you did with your net rankings to get a certain seed, if you get beat by a lower seed, it doesn't mean, see, we told you so. I know that those lines will be drawn, but I don't necessarily think it translates like that.
Yeah, talk to me about Virginia, Brad.
Yeah.
I mean, so... I get it.
Yeah,
Look,
one of those things.
To back up his point, he better win, because then otherwise you lose to the Big 12, you're talking trash, and then that's a very fitting way to go out potentially.
Hey, they're going to be a tough out. They're good. They looked very impressive, as somebody said, against a team not in New Mexico that was a hot pick, but a trendy pick, but the favorite in that game. So there we are with that game there. Craig and I were at practice yesterday for Baylor after their workout. The spring drills are going on like everybody else is as well. Jake Spavital was there. DeQuan Finn was there, the quarterback Sawyer Robertson, and also R.J. Martinez. Craig, what did you get out of all that today? Your thoughts about what was going on?
Yesterday, it was good to hear from all those guys. I like talking to Jake Spavital. I like him.
He's a football coach.
Yeah, he seems like a nice dude, and obviously has been around quite a few places. I mean, West Virginia fans very familiar with Jake Spavital, was at Texas State, got the head coaching opportunity. He's been around the block for a while now, and Texas A&M, of course, and so on and so forth, and now here at Baylor. And a big part of what, Dave Aranda is leaning on to try and keep this thing going on into a 6th and 7th and 8th years, hopefully. But I just think right now it's also very new. They're just taking the steps into learning this thing fully, this new offense, and getting to know each other in many ways because of the staff and how many changes there were, and the fact that you had to double hire some positions because of Alabama's job opening, creating a domino effect to where all of a sudden you had a couple guys get poached later that you weren't expecting whatsoever. And so it's just been a very busy an interesting offseason that now has finally turned into on-the-field action. And I think just the big takeaway for me was just how glad I am to have football out on the field and be able to talk about on-the-field things and getting ready for next year. And so a lot of learning going on right now, but really enjoyed talking to Jake Spavital. Loved hearing from Daquan Finn for the first time. He told us that he watched RG3 growing up, wore number 10 because of RG3 when he was playing Pop Warner ball. Mm-hmm. And that lines up age-wise. I went and looked, actually, and I was like, okay, yeah, he would have been like 8 years old or whatever about that time period, 8, 9, 10, something like that. So it was good to hear from Daquan Finn. And really was impressed by Sawyer Robertson and R.J. Martinez. I mean, R.J. Martinez is what people would identify as like the third-string quarterback, but that was a dude that Spavital raved over. Spavital loves him some R.J. Martinez.
You could see his eyes like he may not have known that when he was here.
Spavital likes R.J. Martinez based on what he's seen so far. So I think they've got a really solid quarterback room. I think Sawyer Robertson's in an offense that is more to his talents and to his liking and to his base knowledge, because he originally signed up to play in an air raid. He played an air raid in high school, played an air raid very briefly at Mississippi State under Mike Leach. He went there to go play for Mike Leach and in the air raid. And then obviously there was a lot of change, unfortunately, with his passing, and Sawyer ends up at Baylor. But now here's an air raid with Jake Spavital. So I like that room. I like the changes they've made there, and I'm excited to see what it all looks like. And I don't know how many games they're going to win next year, but I do feel like they're going to be able to score points a little bit easier than what we've seen the last couple of years, where it really felt like sometimes pulling a tooth. Just in watching them try to slog their way down the field, I feel like there's going to be a lot more of your shorter touchdown drives that used to be commonplace around here, or just the big explosive plays. The reintroduction of the slot wide receiver to the offense, basically. I think it better suits their personnel. I think it better suits what they kind of need at this point, because they don't have a defense where they can just rely on having an okay offense. They need to have an offense that can be explosive and can score, not just because that's what everybody wants, because that's what they need, because we don't know how much better in one offseason Dave Aranda and Gary Patterson can make this defense, along with others' help. So they needed to freshen up, and I feel like they have, and I think there's a really good attitude. Of course, everybody's happy starting out spring ball, but I just get a much different sense. And quite honestly, it's just kind of nice to move on. I hate the way it's probably going to sound, but if Blake Shapen was back again this year, I just don't know that I would be talking the same way, because it was just kind
of like when before Charlie Brewer's last year.
It's very much like the Charlie Brewer situation, where it's just like, okay, we've seen this. We can't run this back another. It's not even all your fault. It's not the shoulder. Like, your shoulders don't need to take all of the blame. It was part this, part that. But I think just having a definitive change at quarterback, a change in the offense, all that freshness is going to be good for this team in the long run. I don't know if it wins them any more games, but I think it's going to be at least a little bit more entertaining, and it could lead to you winning more games.
By the way, you're right. I got a little glimmer in Spavital's eye when he started talking about RJ. And again, who knows how it's going to work out, but also how they really don't know who their interior or the slot receivers are going to be in an air raid type offense, and they're going to just everybody's going to play all the different positions. Quarterbacks throw it to them all the time, and let the quarterbacks kind of let see who rises to the top there.
I think the biggest question with them now is their offensive line, and I think some of the issues that you might have typically, if you're trying to do like what Jeff Grimes was trying to do, you have to have a different kind of mentality and group of linemen, and I think this allows linemen to not have to be so perfect, maybe sometimes, to be effective, that it's so quick moving and fast paced that you don't have to you know what I'm saying? It's not like pro style offensive line blocking. It's like you can be a little bit more versatile up front, and so I think that will help. But that is where the questions lie. I don't think that they have a shortage of playmakers because of what they've been able to do in the transfer portal. I think they're good at running back. I think they're good at receiver. I think they're good at tight end. I think they're good at quarterback now. So really it's the line. And then I think on the other side, if Dave Aranda and Gary Patterson can't fix your defense, then who is going to?
Then you probably can't.
Who is going to? If those two can't, with months of preparation, figure out, then it's simply a matter of the only solution is to go get the biggest donor possible and have them give you millions of dollars to go buy the best players. That is the only other way that you're going to fix it if Dave Aranda and Gary Patterson can't fix it. So I feel good about that. I am worried, though, about the defensive line after the nose tackle retirements. Losing 2 nose tackles that were clearly going to be like your top 2 guys is a bad problem, but I don't think they have a ton of problems. So, yeah, I feel good about where they are, and they've clearly got a couple holes, but we'll see how they adjust to them. We're only a couple practices in at this point.
All right. So, by the way, Auburn with a spurt now up by 7 over Yale. That game's still a long way to go. Those are the second level of the games from the early sessions, and they're up with 12 minutes to go by what now is 9. So that's that athleticism, and they're really good, hit shots, etc. I saw this note. Remember with a note about Golke, who hit all those threes? This is from Opta Stats. In the last 25 years across the NBA, the WNBA, and Division I, both men's and women's basketball, there have been 2 instances of a player coming off the bench and attempting 20-plus three-pointers in a game without attempting a single two-pointer. Jack Golke, back on February the 8th against Northern Kentucky, and guess what? Jack Golke last night.
I love
25 years of all those levels.
I love how a coach was just like, yeah, I don't want him to dribble.
Right.
Like, he's going to turn the ball over. That's like it's like a compliment of like he's a dead-eye shooter, but also he sucks at dribbling.
Hey, man, know your limitations, right? Yeah. I mean, hey, it is what it is. It's working. It's working. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like backhanded compliment in so many ways, but or not backhanded. It's just – you kind of have to throw a little dig in when you're talking about why does he have to just basically sit at the three-point line? Well, because we don't want him to do anything else. But, hey, whatever works, right? So that'll be interesting to see how he's defended now because, I mean, you're showing in the pregame, just guard the three-point line. Like, if you're worried about Jack Golke, he's not shooting it from anywhere else based on all of the evidence. So, yeah, that was amazing to watch and watch his Twitter page blow up in real time and just very cool to see a star born or a name born, another one in March as it happens every year. But yeah, that was our first taste.
He could have been in Hoosiers. You know, by the way, bracket cat Smokey, the ACC now is 10-3 against the Big 12 because NC State beat Texas Tech.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
There you go. So, yeah, there we are with that. And by the way, another note about you never know what you're going to get an answer if you don't ask the question. Paula said that bit of advice on the answer always is no until you ask was from my beloved grandfather, who was a great man. Paula, great you sharing that with us. We appreciate that too. And some of you, I don't know why you're laughing over the segment that Paul wanted to bring up about Nebraska and Baylor back in 2014.
Yeah, Paul's saying like it's the Howard Stern show, K-Rock back in the 90s.
Yeah. You know,
Baba Booey.
Look, you say that. I was just about to say that. You said Baba Booey, and Boo Booey had a huge game for Northwestern today, and all I could think about, and this is sort of a child's of the 90s, was can I make a Baba Booey joke that people would get on Twitter or on takes? And I don't think I could.
Yeah, probably not at this point. I don't know, man. Baba Booey, I mean, that's been long-lasting at this point. But, yeah, I think
what year was that?
I mean,
the 90s, the 2000s. But, yeah, that was that was always the best when you get the random Baba Booey, like the CNN, they're reporting on war, and just all of a sudden in the background, Baba Booey! It's like classic stuff,
Keilani, if one didn't become a Kampe fan after last night, that interview would have made you one. Yeah. Kim Coulter, Coach Kampe is officially my new hero after correctly calling Izzo an idiot.
Hey, people are getting on him about those comments. I mean, they are. We've heard multiple coaches now sound off on that, and you got the platform, let it rip. And I'm glad that he's fighting for his school and schools like his, and so are others. And yeah, he's very likable based on these last 24 hours. So very excited for him and his program. It's a great story so far. I just hope it continues, right? Because this can just disappear by the end of tomorrow night, and we move on. But yeah, they're really likable, and I think the deeper they go, they'll attract a lot of fans jumping on that bandwagon like me.
All right. Also wanted to note Dustin Archambault, my youngest brother years ago, was the number 3 3-point shooter in the nation, number 1 in Oklahoma. Too bad his girlfriend had a child in high school. he would have fit in at the college. Yep, you're right, Dustin. Thanks for that as well. And there we go. Florida is in a little bit of drama against Colorado. We'll come back and update that. We do appreciate you knowing the games are on and being here with us. We appreciate the chat room. Okay, other than Oakland, through the first day and a half of the NCAA tournament since it got back to going on Thursday, in the last day and a half, what, in your opinion, is the next best story? What, in your opinion, is the biggest surprise? Outside of Oakland, Kentucky, what is the best player you've seen so far? Put that in the chat. We'll read it. Give your name. Appreciate your time. Please don't forget the like and subscribe button. The like button's got to get going here today. And if you haven't subscribed, we'd appreciate that too.
I tell you the biggest missed call.
Yeah, well, let's do that next.
Go ahead.
Let's do that next, right here on 365 Sports.
Cars priced right, day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financials, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
By the way, in my opinion, when you know there's a great event going on, and I'm talking about in sports, when you don't know what the hell's going on anywhere else, because I'm so confused, so consumed in watching highlights, watching live games, keeping up with some of the reporting, whatever.
We haven't talked about the ACC and their stuff today. So
the who?
The ACC. And
I know. Somebody asked earlier because the ACC countersued them. We'll countersued them. We'll do that here in just a second, or even the Ohtani investigation that Major League Baseball's opened up over $4.5 some million that he had to pay off a debt, and whose debt might it have been, and what was going on there. Now, last night, Kansas, 93, Sanford 89. When I'd gone to bed, went to bed, and woke up as I do, and I don't know, like 12:30, whatever, and I said, let me look at the scores. Texas Tech was beaten, and then also that KU won. I was, oh, my God, 93-88. Okay, well, maybe Sanford hit 3 or 4 threes in the last minute. Oh, no. So Kansas beat Sanford. Everyone thought it could be a dicey game because Sanford's shooting. It was more than dicey. So Timberlake gets a breakaway. Goes up for the layup. Garrett, you bring it in here with us, too. Goes up for the layup. I did not know this until I looked right below the box score where it said, late controversial call goes Kansas's way. And every Big 12 fan in America is probably going, oh, was the game at Allen Fieldhouse? Well, Timberlake was going up for a jam, got blocked from behind. The replay absolutely shows no contact at all from behind, block shot, but just the fact he spills to the ground, the official blows the whistle.
Yes, so it was not a foul. It was not a good call. And that is what enabled Kansas to be able to have that defensive cushion on the back end of him making the free throws that made it kind of impossible for Sanford to win the game with as much time as left there. Now, I'm not just saying this because I'm afraid for my life. I say this.
You've already gone over the edge, buddy.
We say this all the time about calls. Yes, that was the call that locked up Kansas's win. For sure. But if you want to take a game, you have to take the whole 40 minutes of it. So if you want to say, well, if they had never made that call, Sanford would have won. Well, if Kansas would have made their stupid free throws, like that he kept clanging off for the whole game, then maybe that play doesn't matter. You can't just pick one element of a game that changes the game and say that's the thing, because it goes into it. Yes, they got a great call. Yes, they got a call because they're Kansas. Yes, it sealed it for them, but there are other things that happened in that game.
Did they get a call in this case because they're Kansas or because the player could have been from Columbia and the way he falls because he's lost his balance in the air?
You think that call's going the other way?
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's not going. If a Kansas player blocked that, you think that's happening the same way?
I don't.
I
hope to God we have our doors locked right now.
I mean, I'm not really worried about it. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
so,
no, okay. Well, maybe you guys are right.
I mean, look,
but what you don't want to do, you don't want any more replays and reviews or whatever.
And that's what they talked about in the post game.
Yes.
Was
in real time though. Like when watching it, I was like, "Oh, that's definitely a foul." And then right after, I'm like, "Oh, well, maybe you should have been in a better position there, sport."
Yeah,
because it wasn't. But also to say it clearly wasn't a foul. Well, look, there's 3 officials. That was a fast break. Everybody's running down the court. So the guy that made the call probably wasn't in the best position yet, and he saw what he saw and he called what he called. So.
I think the problem people have is always a Kansas getting the benefit of the controversial call, or teams like that always get the benefit of those types of moments versus the underdog who seems to always be on the wrong end of a play like that. Because I do feel like if that's Sanford going up for the shot and that's a KU player defending and doing it the same way, we're talking about what an incredible block and play, a SportsCenter top 10 and all that. And instead, it's Sanford making the play. You're right. Like it's like the argument during a college football game of like, do you see all the non-holding calls? It's like, yeah, but you also gave up like the 70-yard bomb and you gave up the, touchdown run. And one play doesn't necessarily change everything. But in a moment like that could have changed the outcome given the situation.
Well, they would have had the numbers. There wasn't a lot of time left, but they would have had the numbers.
I think that's the problem is my brain last night, and I'm not anti-Kansas. I don't have any reason to be. There's like no ill will in my heart towards them whatsoever. There's no real feeling whatsoever. It's like I follow them a lot because they're in the Big 12, so it's no axe to grind by any means. It just feels like schools like that, and like Kansas, we see it in the Big 12 constantly. How many times are they the ones that get the benefit of the doubt on a controversial call? Like every single time, right? How many times do they need a call to happen to help them get a win, and that call happens? Yeah. And it's like, and I think it just feels like there's a pattern of that, and I don't have like before KU fan loses their mind, I don't have like a graphic to show you. It's just how it comes across. And so I think when we all saw that last night, it's like, of course KU gets bailed out because they always get bailed out. But they also get bailed out because they're a program like that that's established themselves via winning multiple national championships and Big 12 championships and winning games straight up over the years, that they've given themselves the ability to have the benefit of those calls, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to give them credit for that. But part of how you maintain that is every time there's a chance to get knocked off that pedestal, you get the call, and so you don't lose to Sanford. And now maybe, you go on a run to the Sweet 16 or something to get to hang another banner. So it's just, it's just frustrating if you're Sanford for sure, and I guess folks who are rooting against Kansas, because it was a great play that's not going to be rewarded for being a great play. But you know what? The angles and the lack of replay, the replay was a conversation on the post game. Kenny and Charles and Clark Kellogg, and they got into it a little bit because Charles and I think Kenny, to an extent as well, was talking about, well, that's a bad call. They should have a replay. And then Clark Kellogg very rightfully said, well, guys, you complain about games being too long, and you can't replay everything. So it's just one of those situations where, it happened the way that it did. Kansas benefited from it. But, yeah, it was definitely a bad call.
So,
okay, so UW fan
have
Jim.
You yet asked whether or not you could spend the night at my place?
It's always on the table. UW fan Jim says, Paul, so because KU misses free throws, it makes it even. I'm not saying it makes it even. I'm saying that you can't take one moment out of a game that's 40 minutes long and say this is the only reason.
Yeah.
Because that's not it. If you can't do it. You can't play if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. You can't do that.
Except for maybe like Ohio State, Miami national championship, pass interference, that kind of a thing. It's like, but
because
this is pretty
here's
close.
The other thing. What Sanford has to do, and granted, they were doing it. They were making their threes. If that is a block and they get the ball out of bounds and inbound it and get down the court, they still have to make the shot.
Right, yeah.
So that's why. That wasn't a bad call that cost.
Would that have been like a continuation play? The ball was still live.
So if
they would have had 5-on-4, maybe they get an open shot.
But and look, they were draining open shots, but that still has to go in. By saying that foul is the only reason it happened, you're presupposing the future, which you can't do. Because they could have easily gone down and missed the shot and have been over either way.
They didn't lose the game.
Fouled.
They didn't win the game because of that play, but they sure as hell didn't lose the game because of that play. So that's the thing.
I just think there's a verbiage thing you have to say.
Right.
That call locked up the game for Kansas.
Yeah.
That certainly did. And they needed something like that to happen because they were cooked at that point. Sanford had figured it, had kind of gotten all the momentum and all the points that Kansas was going to score were out there kind of on the table. That they didn't really have maybe that much left in them, and they needed something to happen, and they took advantage of it. So,
man, imagine the talk about the Big 12 and the standing that Kansas had lost, and then
it would have been there. It would have been immediately and deservedly so.
And you know what? That's a compliment. I brought this up earlier. It's like the SEC in football. You look at the bowl records every year, right? The graphics of the bowl records, and see, they're overrated, and that's what basically people are going to do now with the Big 12, or they did it with the ACC.
When it fits what they want the narrative to be.
Well, yeah, sure, right. Yeah. If the record's good, they're not going to put that graphic up. They're just going to move on along and talk about something else. But it's a compliment in a way of almost people wanting to see your downfall, see you lose because you are touted as the best. So yeah, that was very fortunate for the Big 12 to have Kansas move on through, but not without controversy. And look, man, it's part of the game, and I'm not going to dwell on it. Certainly, people are going to be upset about it. You're probably going to never forget that if you're a Sanford fan, but it also is just that's part of the game, and it's just unfortunate that it didn't work out in their favor because it would have been amazing to see what would have happened had it gone a different direction.
I have an air mattress.
Yeah,
I have it's always ready. I have an air mattress.
I can't do what your wife does though, man. I used to my mom was very superstitious watching games, has to sit the same way. So that was kind of in me early on. And then I realized this is so stupid. I'm sitting here with one leg propped up on a coffee table and I can't move because if I do, Oklahoma's going to lose. And eventually one day I just said, I have nothing to do with this win or loss. I'm just going to watch the game. Nothing I do is going to change anything.
Boy.
When I was a kid, the year that A&M went to the Combo, I think they were 11-1, and then the next year they went 12-0. and I wore the same shirt and short combo for every game. And I thought, like, well, this is the winning streak right here. And then, like, the next year they lost the first couple games, and it was getting smaller, obviously. And I was just wearing it at the house. But it, like, hit me that, like, maybe it's because Greg Hill just graduated. Maybe that's why. Maybe Rodney Thomas is gone, and they're not. So, like, you have those things.
I've had this when it comes to, like, if I'm not able to watch a team like Nebraska play, if I can't get it, whatever, I'll have Gamecast, and inevitably they might be winning, which is rare. 14-3. I go start checking Gamecast. Fumble. 14-10. Like, but I swear now,
and it's Nebraska, so special teams error.
Missed field goal. But you know what I realized? It doesn't matter if I'm watching it on Gamecast, live, in person. They suck.
But
it's not Gamecast.
Okay,
they suck.
Hold on. I have a rebuttal witness to call. What? I don't even watch the game.
My God.
I don't have any game day shirts or routines or rituals. No.
Is this Amanda?
Yes.
Okay, we have to ask this question though.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world can you not watch the game?
She just gets tense.
She didn't see the last play on the play we're talking about. She wasn't even watching it live.
I get it's a nerves thing. I'm just saying, for me, I eventually had to break out of, to each their own. Everybody's got superstitions and whatnot. I'm saying for me, my own sanity, though, I had to stop doing that. I had to realize, like, I can sit how I want to sit. I can go grab out of the fridge what I want to grab, and not, like, I have to get the bottled water all facing the same direction as, like, people could take it really far. And I did for a while, and I finally just had to break myself of that. And so maybe that's why Oklahoma had won a national championship in about 20 years. I cursed it. Look at that. We come full circle.
I might be in a little bit of trouble, but it's fine. I'll come through it. If this is here's the great thing.
Okay, there's 4 responses from her. What are they?
What? I'm not superstitious. I don't even watch the game. I don't have game day shirts or routines or rituals. You have to stop painting a false picture of me.
So are you out of this conversation the rest of the way, or is it too late?
Yeah.
Dan Meister on calls. Don't forget, guys, bad calls happen at every level. Remember New Orleans and Super Bowl?
Yeah.
It's the way the rules are set up are the problem. One of the things that Clark Kellogg eventually said about, you already complain about too many replays or reviews and how long they take, and you want to add more to it. One of the things that he did say, okay, give each coach a chance to get an overview, or whatever, a review.
Like a challenge?
A challenge. There you go. That's the word. Like they do. Yeah. But I still think this game is played at such an incredibly fast rate, man.
Well,
you're just going to have it.
It's easy for us to say, with our various camera angles and all of that. And I think the main takeaway from that broadcast, that post game, was they were all in agreement. Every single one of them were in agreement. It was a terrible, terrible call. And where they differed was just on the, Charles. They should have gone. Well, you can't review it. You can't, and that's where they kind of had the disagreement. But it's just a good conversation, and everybody was all on the same page when it came to the call itself. But I guess that's a conversation for a later date. Is how do you try and prevent that? You just want, at this stage, the best teams in the world and the best tournament in the world when it comes to American sports. Before I set off like Champions League folks or something. You just want them to get the right call, man. Like, that's all you want, is you don't want to be talking about a call the day after. But that's what happened in that particular game. Kansas will move on, and you know what? They go win the national title, then
good. They win it.
Like, everybody shut up about it because they had to go win four more games. But it's just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Sir, blah blah blah. I'm generally not a fan of ref blaming. If you can't challenge a play, get enough of a lead for it not to matter, or make another play when there was 7 minutes into the game. I have always had that. And a lot of times I've lost Twitter followers. This is back when I used to tweet quite a bit during a game to the point it was stupid. I've lost people because I will not agree with the complaining, like the immediacy of officiating or referees. To me, it takes away from the game. That was one at the end of the game that was such an incredible, important part of the game. But yet again, make an earlier shot when you missed one. Make a layup if you missed one. So there we are with that. But there you go. It's part of sports. I just don't like it. There's some fans, and I see them. I see them. It's immediate. Are they watching the same game I am? They're out there. I don't. That just takes away from the game itself. I really do.
I agree with you.
Kyle, congrats to Baylor, Iowa State, Texas, Arizona, Kansas. Yeah. Keep winning for the Big 12 credits. Of course, Arizona, not quite. But if Texas is an SEC win now, then Arizona is a Big 12 win now, and Colorado's trying to take care of Florida. There's still plenty of time left, up by 11 right now against the Gators.
Yeah, but Florida's now cut it to 10. They're in a little bit of trouble. I mean, 4-17.
It's a lot of time left.
That's a lot of time, but still a 10-point lead. I mean,
Damn.
Washington State and Oregon State, you're going to clean up at this rate. The Pac-12 is off to a really strong start.
Washington State, didn't they win straight up last night?
Yeah.
Yep. So they're not only going to get half of all the other units along with Oregon State, they themselves are creating extra units, which is great. For Sir blah, blah, blah. True, all sports are played at a much faster pace than 50 years ago. Hell, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. Bigger, faster, stronger, unbelievable athleticism. Paxton, it's the bad calls at crucial times that drive me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is just get it right in the big moments, and I think that was such a big moment, and you got it wrong, and everybody knows you got it wrong. So that's what makes it sting a bit more is, like I said a second ago, best player or the best teams and the best tournament in American sports, and all you're asking is just to get the big calls right, and there was a situation last night where that wasn't the case. So part of the deal, you move on, but you hope you avoid those kind of moments moving forward in the rest of the tournament as best you can.
Bracket Cat, the bad call was because the ref was in the wrong position. He was trailing and too slow to see it in real time. Would be nice to have a coach's challenge option for blatantly bad calls like that. Crew had 23 reviews. They had 23 reviews. Oh, by the way, did you see the play earlier in the week? It was an NCAA tournament game. A player out in the left, what you call kind of from the left top of the three to the left of the three-point circle, made a dribble, tripped over his own feet. The defender, who was a couple of feet away, they called a foul because the reaction to he tripped, so he had to have tripped on the defender who was 2 feet away from any of the shoes. And, again, it's a human error. I don't want to see damn computers and all that stuff either, although in some sports you're starting to see more and more of that. All right, 5:39, we've had a day. We've heard from the Oakland coach, Greg Kampe. We've heard from Alvin Brooks III, Baylor assistant coach, and more. Darby Brown from Memphis. And this is 365 Sports. On April 8th, between 11 and 3 at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco, Far Out Solar Eclipse Day. Central Texas is one of the places where you have an unobstructed view of the solar eclipse. April the 8th, 11 to 3, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. Members and guests enjoy special open play for tennis and pickleball. $5 guest fee instead of what normally is $10 throughout the day, including enjoying group exercise classes, weight room, which is spectacular, tennis and pickleball courts, and complimentary solar eclipse eyewear. Local True Jamaican food truck available 11 to 2, live band on the patio, outside on the concourse in the back with Jay Smith and the Wesson from 12 to 2. Take advantage of the unobstructed view from the stadium court at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. Beer and wine available for sale. Family, friendly, and fun. The Far Out Solar Eclipse Day, April the 8th, 11 to 3. Specials for both members and guests at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Rev up your excitement. Celebrate the spirit of adventure during the Jeep Celebration event. Join us at Allen Samuels in Waco as we roll out incredible deals on rugged and reliable Jeep vehicles you love. Seize the moment and drive home in the new Jeep of your dreams. With special financing options and exclusive offers, there has never been a better time to explore the world of Jeep. Hurry in, the savings won't last long. Visit AllenSamuelsDCJ.com and see them firsthand only at Allen Samuels in Waco. Let your adventure begin.
Come by, let's be friends.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance, and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
It's time for Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Texas Beef House. Where's the best beef in Texas? Your house when you order from Texas Beef House. Unleash the flavor of Texas-raised Wagyu. From our pasture to your plate, TexasBeefHouse.com.
Paul, before you go, you want to update a couple of games?
Yes, Yale leads Auburn 73-72, just over a minute left in that game, and Auburn is not getting rebounds right now. And Colorado, with 2:30 left in the game, leads the Florida Gators 94-86.
We've been talking about this whole, your conference has gone this record. If the SEC were to drop these two right here, that would be nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
Tennessee won and whatnot, but that would be absolutely obliterating that side of the bracket.
But Colorado's playing really sloppy now. But those two have turned it over quite a bit. Paul?
We'll have a final after Paul gets done.
Yeah.
Probably.
Don't go whipping it out, Greg. Just saying, it doesn't always impress people.
What did Coach Kampe say? Hogs get fat.
Pigs get fat. Hogs get slaughtered.
Hogs get slaughtered. Okay.
Yeah. It's like we say with Brett Yormark, you support the Big 12, or people root for the Big 12, or they want what's best for the Big 12 or whatever. But it doesn't mean you have to agree with every idea that the man has. And I think that when it comes to Greg Sankey, no matter how much power you have or how big the conference you run is or whatever, it doesn't mean that everything you say is the right answer for everybody. As much as it seems like sometimes the media portrays him as the end-all, be-all of what needs to happen for college sports.
Look, I would say 10 years ago, people thought Elon Musk was really interesting and cool. 10 years have passed, and I don't think people think that anymore.
I do.
But, things have changed. But I don't think that's you're the minority now where you were the majority. Things
How do
have
you
changed.
Know that?
I don't know, but I do think that he's done some things that have changed
because of politics.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah,
that's what we are. Yeah.
So, and again, but it is. So anyhow, a guy who also opinions have changed about him. Top 5 thoughts on Coach Cal and UK.
Oh boy.
Number 5, can Coach Cal check his ego a little bit? I think that's the thing, Smokey. What was the thing we said the first time we were at the press conference with him when Baylor played Kentucky? Was not, man, this guy's brilliant. Man, it's unbelievable. What an unbelievable ego. Control the room, kind of bully the people around, and it was because of this just massive ego. And I'm not saying that that's big egos.
But when we were there, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time
he was
ago.
coming off a national.
But, he was about to win the national.
Yeah.
But, there's a way you can channel your big ego. You can be Teddy Roosevelt and channel it well. And for a while, Coach Cal did. And I think that right now it's not serving him well because he has not gotten his team to a Final Four in 9 years, and a lot of the things he's doing or saying are maybe falling on deaf ears, or it's just like, all right, don't lose to St. Peter's, don't lose to Oakland, and then we'll maybe buy your stick a little bit more. I think his act is a little bit tired and he needs to refresh it, and maybe that means he needs to, sit down, be humble for a second.
Yeah, that's going to be. I like him. I really do. I like listening to him, but I wonder, man, when you're up that ladder that high, can you be humbled? I think everyone can be humbled.
Man, it doesn't matter what your personality is. If you're win, as long as you're not like cursing people out left and right, you can be however you want to be, however cocky you want to be, however arrogant you want to be, and I think his ego's perfectly fine when they're winning. Mm-hmm. But when you're losing and you're not winning as much as you're supposed to, now it's an issue. So, yeah, that's probably something he's going to have to kind of realize or, I guess, massage a little bit, that's not coming across the same way it was when you were winning games and advancing deep in the tournament.
Well, and if you are an $8 million a year coach and you're out of the tournament early every single year, like those things just don't work anymore. So again, I just think I'm not one of these people who says fire Coach Cal, because one, they're not going to do that. And two, it's just you got to give a Hall of Famer a chance to really look at the last few years and go, what's the common theme here? Which brings us to number 4. What aren't they doing that other teams are that are paying their coach similar amounts or even a little bit less? What are they not doing that coaches who aren't getting paid $8 million are doing? What is Kentucky, this program that has everything at their fingertips, what are they not doing that others are? What are they doing that Bill Self is doing? Well, and he's not the best example this year, but he just won 2 years ago. What are they not doing that Baylor's doing? What are they not doing that Arizona's doing or Gonzaga or Villanova? Why? Or North Carolina? What are they different? What's different between them and that? And I don't know the answer to that question. They know the answer to the question. I don't think they need to look at what they're doing right. I think they need to really look at what they're doing wrong. Because sometimes I think you can be like, well, this is right. If we just lean more into the right, if we get this is the correct thing. We're getting great talent out of the high school recruiting. We can get anybody we want out of the portal if we wanted them. We can do this.
But you can add all these young freshmen and all these phenoms and diaper dandies, as Dick Vitale used to call them, or whoever. You got to have some meat and experience.
We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But yes,
that's what they're doing wrong, maybe.
That's one of the things. But there's probably other things that they're not doing as well. And I think sometimes because you are a guy whose everything's worked out because of the way you do it right so long, that sometimes you don't look at where am I missing? Because the playbook that I have says this should work, and it's not. Number 3, has the game started to pass him by?
No.
I mean, no. Look, he did something last night I never thought I would see him do. He thought they were shooting a 1-and-1 when they had
his
the
players thought that too, and he was kind of turned around at the time. But I saw that the player made a shot, was fouled, and he had a chance for an and-1, and his players they missed it, and he just scooted it out of bounds. And Calipari thought it was a 1-on-1 too. That was a big, huge.
So those are things
you cannot make that mistake.
Oh, look, it happens to the best of us, But eventually, there are things, and that doesn't mean if it's passed him by that it's all the way passed him by. But if he doesn't see, that he's not driving with the flow of traffic, then he's in trouble. I think that's really what I mean here.
Okay. All right. That's a possibility.
I think they've got every tool at their disposal. They've got every amount of support you could possibly want, every dollar that you would need. And I think he's still a great basketball coach, but I think that the game has changed a little bit. It's that you're not just the one getting all the diaper dandies and the blue chips, and your big bad Kentucky and only a select few have players like you have. I mean, nowadays it feels different because of the portal or because of extra years or whatever the case may be. And so it's not as simple as let's go grab the next Fab Five and roll them in here and go deep in the tournament. There's a little bit more nuance to it that maybe is I don't know, because it's not for a lack of anything really. For it to happen year after year after year. There's no lack of support. There's no lack of NIL money. There's no lack of talent. So, I mean, I can see why this would be a question. I still think he knows the game of basketball, but maybe just on this level, it's not quite what it was when he was soaring at the highest of highs, and others have caught up a little bit.
By the way, remember now, Scott Drew had to learn how to change from trying to go and grab the one and dones, even though they've had those recently and have a couple of them maybe this year. Remember the Perry Jones and it did Isaiah Austin, and they were good, but it wasn't. And they kind of got away from that for a little bit and started building up more of a deeper bench and older roster, and eventually led to, of course, a national title.
Absolutely. Number 2, can he actually build a veteran-laden roster? Can he do that? Can he have the split? Because I think that's what's the biggest thing that's missing is, sure, you can get all the, the diaper dandies you want, trademark Dick Vitale. You can do that, but you do need some guys in there who can calm them down, who can be that. And you could see last night where, you get to the huddle and they're like, all right, look, you probably look at yourself like, I've never done this before. And they're like, me neither. What are we in here? And they get a little bit hyperventilated and they start, making mistakes that they normally make. And, the other thing is you've got a team in Oakland. That's the other thing. The weight of the world is on Kentucky in these situations. They don't want to be the ones who are upset. For Oakland, what do they care? Everything starts working out for them. It's going to be sad if they don't win, but no one is saying hey, you're going to go in and beat Kentucky, one of the all-time great blue blood programs. So they can just go out there and grip it and rip it and not worry about, all that other stuff. So those things, you need veterans to be like, look, don't worry about it. We got you. We've been here before. We can do this. Because that first NCAA tournament, talked to a great many players. They're like, man, that first 10 minutes it's everything you've ever wanted in your life, and then it's going so fast.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and number 1, would they really fire Coach Cal?
Oh, I'm telling you, man.
I think right now that would be a mistake.
I think you take a deep breath before you make a decision.
Because 2 years you can get out for half of this, and what's different, you're still going to have great players.
Right.
And, you'll be able to bring in whoever you want. Maybe just don't, throw money away on firing a coach who's won you a national title and hasn't been where you want him and has not been an $8 million coach for the last few years, but he can be again. Just maybe tell him hey, it's a different era. Let's push him a little bit.
I think everything is on the table in terms of change. They were one of the youngest teams in the country, and when you're typically putting in or you're recruiting and landing blue chips and then turning them around into pro prospects, one and dones, at a pretty high clip, it's hard to your previous point, build a veteran roster, but you got to figure out a way to have more experience so there's not that young that youth that catches up with you during tournament time when you're facing off with veteran squads. But with this, I know A&M's warped everybody's brains about these big buyouts, but I don't know Kentucky well enough either to say that they can't do this or that they would never do this. But I just don't understand why you would burn $30 million to get rid of this guy to go hire who.
Well, not only that, Craig, you're right. $33 million or whatever it is, and then you're going to have to go overpay for the guy coming in, and it's going to cost you a bunch of other bundles of money.
Yeah, you're looking at a $40 million investment, and I know you're making really big money in the SEC TV deals and probably in ticket sales and all those types of things, but I don't know, man. I just don't feel like every team in that league or in the top 25 all-time of college basketball or in college sports or top 5 all-time college basketball. I don't think everybody's just keen on the idea of because, he's had 4 years of disappointment, let's go set $30 million on fire and go then hire somebody for big money who, again, who's a bigger, more high-profile name than him? Who are you going in and hire? Are you going to go Steve Kerr? Is that because there's only so many names that would be bigger already than John Calipari, so would they really? I'm sure somewhere in Lexington there's somebody that's I'll put up $2 million for this, but I don't know, man. You let it play out, like you said, Paul. Let it drop down, and the buyout drop down, and then, at that point, you'll have enough evidence to go, all right, it's been 5 years in a row or 6 years in a row. It's now only $15 million. Yeah, now we cut bait. We got we've seen all we need to see, but I think that would be a major overreaction to go and sign a check like that. You could do a lot of other good with that. Go get players that are going to help you get over that hump next year in your
Go get a
hopes.
Couple of seasoned guys in the portal if they want to go. You got the ability to do that. By the way, this is the craziest ending. Yale had a 3-point lead in the ball, but turned it over Auburn is now down 1. There's still 33 seconds to go. Yale's going to the free throw line up 2. And Florida has come back. Knew they would.
They were down 10.
They were down 10, but they were down 8 just a minute ago. They've tied the game up with 6 seconds to go at 100 apiece in an up and down high-scoring game in that particular NCAA South first-round game.
This is the only part that I don't really enjoy is that 32 seconds will take like another hour to finish out. That's the only part that it just sort of drags out these end results. But big bucket by Colorado with 1.7 left.
Here's the inbounds pass, a long 3 for the win. Oh my God.
No.
Colorado is knocked out. An SEC team in Florida, 102-100.
Go
Buffs. That was
Go
close.
Buffs. Go Buffs.
Holy crap.
Listen,
Florida.
Every time Florida loses at something, an angel gets his wings. Go Buffs.
And now let's go ahead and let's do Yale's up 3. We can't do play-by-play, really, because we can't.
Well, because they got a long time with 32 seconds. But Colorado, what a win for them.
What a win. So the kid hit a jumper.
Wazoo and Oregon State are celebrating.
Yeah, I thought that 3-point heave was going to go in, didn't you?
I mean, it got very, very close. It looked like it was on target. It just was a little bit too far to the right, it looks like. And so, yeah, that was uncomfortably close for Colorado there. But they get the dub. That's a big W for the Buffaloes. And we'll see them in the Big 12 starting next year. But for right now, they're making some money for Washington State and Oregon State and raising their profile a bit.
And Yale's going back to the free throw line. Auburn with some tips that didn't go in. Still a lot of time left.
My bracket is the hallway in The Shining.
I want to go live in Greg Sankey's mentions if this Auburn game finishes the way it looks like it will.
We'll let you go. Thank you so much for those who, even with the games going on, I know there's a lot going on. We appreciate you. We'll have a full throttle show on Monday, capping off who's going to go to the Sweet 16 and much more.
So Colorado will now face Marquette in the next round, and then NC State and Oakland above them in the bracket. So that's now how that advances. But, yeah, what a win for the Buffs, and we'll see. This looks like a thrilling finish with Yale in command right now, and just less than 15 seconds to go.
Got to hit free throws, and you probably win the game, but who knows? It might be 20 minutes from now. For Garrett Ross, great stuff, Garrett. Thanks to all of you in the chat room. The text line are great sponsors every single day that continues to grow, and it does. For Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, for Jack McKenzie and Darby Brown in Memphis, for Emery working on 365 Sports tonight at 10:30 on the CW, and our great sponsors and our partners, Brian, Colt, and Ashley. I'm David Smoak. Good night.